Chapter 1236. I really don't know where your confidence comes from. Liang cast a pitiful look at him. I have seen your battle during the ordeal. You are at most at the level of a middle-stage perspective deity. You probably can't even withstand one blow from me. Your mysterious confidence really makes me feel sorry for you. Swish. Liang's figure flickered. His voice was still drifting, but he disappeared by teleportation. When he appeared again, his cold words rang in Su Yu's ears. Because you won't even know how you died. The divine power of a late-stage perspective deity condensed between his fingers. The purity of the divine power was not far from that of an ordinary deity. This time, Su Yu did not teleport away. Instead, he slowly extended his right palm and collided with the finger that penetrated the divine power without turning his head. There was no earth-shattering sound, only a slight muffled sound reverberating between the two. Su Yu's body was not shattered by the late-stage perspective deity, Liang, as the outsiders had imagined. The two seemed to be frozen in time, maintaining their fighting posture. After a moment, Su Yu withdrew his right palm indifferently, and a black dragon flashed by leisurely. With a soft sigh, Su Yu said, "Go in peace, although you may not even know how you died." Crack! As his voice fell, a piece of crust-like skin peeled off from Liang's face, and a gloomy, cold breath of death leaked out. His body had been obliterated by the breath of death, and so had his soul, leaving only an empty shell. A dignified late-stage perspective deity was destroyed by a single palm. The onlookers were all shocked. What is the cultivation of the city master? He seems to have just broken through the mortal fairy level. Hiss! What a domineering palm! Even if he was hit by a palm of the same level, Liang should be able to resist and not be killed. However, the palm of the city master killed Liang before he could even react. The creatures of Sea-Watch City were shocked by the amazing strength of the city master, which gradually turned into ecstasy. The stronger the city master was, the more beneficial it would be for the prosperity of Sea-Watch City. Ah! When I first heard that the city master was only an all-creations cultivator, I was really shocked. It turns out that our city master is a late-stage perspective deity. That's right. No wonder Her Royal Highness the Ninth Princess dared to entrust Sea-Watch City to him. It turns out that he has hidden his strength. That's the only explanation. Haha, what a joke! That Liang thought too highly of himself, and even declared that he was chasing after our city master. In the end, he was killed with a single palm strike. Speaking of which, he is the one who should be pitied. Before the battle even started, Liang, who was leading the way, was killed. The faces of the three Demon Cloud City Masters darkened. Liang was specially brought back by them from the Demon Emperor's capital. As the true heir of Sea-Watch City, he came to suppress the current Sea-Watch City Lord. In the end, before the war had even officially started, he was killed with a single palm strike. The three city lords had clearly seen that palm strike. Liang's death was not unjust, but extremely unjust. It was no wonder that the power of that palm was so shocking that it was more than enough to kill Liang. What he felt wronged was that, if he had been cautious and not directly touched this palm, he wouldn't have been killed so easily. No matter what, Liang was dead. But because of his death, it gave them a new excuse to crusade. Treacherous traitor! The Demon Cloud City Master's eyes were like lightning, and he scolded in a stern voice, "You killed the descendants of the deities without permission, and you deserve to die 1,000 times. As deities of the Jingyu realm, we will never sit back and watch a wicked and evil person like you wreak havoc on Sea-Watch City." His words were righteous, but they were cursed by the people of Sea-Watch City. Sophistry! Liang, that B***starred, failed to kill someone and was killed instead. Is our city master going to stand still and wait to be killed by him? You are the ones who are wreaking havoc on Sea-Watch City. Yes, get lost. We don't need you to meddle in the affairs of Sea-Watch City. The creatures of Seawatch City knew very well that once Seawatch City was attacked, they would definitely become the puppets of the three city lords. Their complaints were not worth mentioning in the eyes of the Demon Cloud City Master. He sneered and said, "A bunch of fools, I am here to save you." As he spoke, he stared at Suyu. "In the name of Her Royal Highness, I hereby announce to the world that we are going to wage a war of justice against the U-Demon." After exchanging a look with the two city lords on his left and right, the three city lords stared at Suyu at the same time. Unparalleled divine strength gushed out from their bodies, which pierced through the sky and killed Suyu on the spot. The three of them knew very well that since things had come to this, they had to kill Suyu, the unparalleled supreme martial artist with amazing potential. Otherwise, what awaited them in the future would be an endless nightmare. The importance of killing Suyu had far exceeded the importance of seizing Her Royal Highness. The three great deities attacked at the same time, including the powerful Demon Cloud City Master, who was comparable to the all-access merchant god. Suyu was no match for them. Although he couldn't contend with them, someone else could. Bang! Bang! At the moment when the three of them attacked, 4 beams of divine light suddenly teleported and gave them an unexpected fatal blow from behind. They were the Luminous Moon City Master and the other 3 City Lord. The Luminous Moon City Master refused to accept Suyu's expectations and successfully invited the other 3 City Lord. They were lurking at the border of their respective jurisdictions, constantly paying attention to the movements in this place, looking for the most suitable opportunity to launch a sneak attack. For this reason, they had prepared their best and most fatal moves to launch a heavy sneak attack. The sneak attack of the 4 people was far beyond the expectation of the Demon Cloud City Master and the other 3 City Lord. In their expectation, even if the 4 people of the Luminous Moon City Master and the other 3 City Lords didn't dare to come and help, they would never hinder them. However, they were more than just obstacles. They were simply waiting to give them a fierce blow from behind. The Demon Cloud City Master reacted first. He recalled the divine strength he had shot out and turned around to attack the sneak attack from behind. With a dull groan, the sneak attacker was beaten back, leaving a lot of divine blood on the ground. It was the Luminous Moon City Master, whose mouth was full of blood. However, a blood-red bone needle in the palm of the Luminous Moon City Master had successfully pierced into the palm of the Demon Cloud City Master. A mass of blood-red mark was spreading on the palm of the Demon Cloud City Master. The god-destroying poison? The Demon Cloud City Master was furious. However, he dared not be careless. So, he suppressed the deadly poison immediately. The Luminous Moon City Master covered his chest and coughed out several mouthfuls of divine blood. Then, he said with a mocking smile, "Heh? Heh. No wonder you are the #1 City Lord of the Jingyu realm. You could still injure me when you were poisoned by the god-destroying poison. However, you won't be able to escape today." 2 screams were heard one after another. The Boming City Master and the Abyss City Master failed to react in time like the Demon Cloud City Master. They were attacked by the other 3 City Masters. Their divine bodies were directly smashed, and only their divine souls escaped. They were the Baiwa City Master, the Lingxin City Master, and the Fansai City Master. They did not chase after the 2 divine souls who had escaped. Instead, they stood side by side with the Luminous Moon City Master and the Demon Cloud City Master. Deep Breath, who had lost his body, was not a problem. The Demon Cloud City Master was their biggest problem. "Fansai City Master, how dare you?" The Demon Cloud City Master's eyes were filled with anger. Before this, the Fansai City Master was on his side. The Fansai City Master said calmly, "The Luminous Moon City Master promised enough benefits." "Well, more than you promised." There was no unchanging relationship between friend and foe. Only interests were eternal. "Good. Good. None of you can leave today." The Demon Cloud City Master shouted angrily. Boom. His body erupted with a terrifying demonic aura. He stared at the luminous Moon City Master angrily. Do you think you can defeat me with the god-destroying poison? Die. He teleported with a thought and transformed into a giant demonic body that was 10,000 feet tall. The luminous Moon City Master and the other 3 City Masters looked grave. Even though the Demon Cloud City Master was poisoned, they did not dare to be careless. They transformed into their hideous demonic bodies. 5 giant creatures were fighting in the sky above the Sea-Watch City. They destroyed mountains and rivers and affected the Great Way Law. As a result, the stable cavern world of the demonic realm showed signs of cracking. The Demon Cloud City Master was indeed the top City Master in the Jingyu realm. Even though he was poisoned and only had 70% of his strength, his combat power was still amazing. He was not at a disadvantage under the siege of the 4 City Masters. However, the 4 City Masters were determined to kill the Demon Cloud City Master. They were even more determined to kill him when they saw his terrifying strength. If they let the Demon Cloud City Master go today, he would have endless troubles in the future. Don't show any mercy, the luminous Moon City Master shouted. He took out his most powerful demonic artifact and launched a powerful killing move at the expense of his divine power. The other 3 City Masters did not dare to delay and attacked with all their strength. At this moment, the battle between the 2 sides finally changed. The Demon Cloud City Master was bombarded by the 4 City Masters. His divine body was shaking, and cracks that were dozens of feet wide appeared on his body. Countless drops of divine blood were scattered in the air. It was a spectacular scene. As time went by, the Demon Cloud City Master's injuries became more and more serious. His divine body was on the verge of collapse. However, the 4 City Masters were also in a very difficult situation. The Fansai City Master's divine body was smashed by the Demon Cloud City Master, and his divine soul was destroyed by the Demon Cloud City Master. The Fansai City Master was dead. The Baiwa City Master and the Lingshin City Master were also seriously injured. They could not recover without a few decades of recuperation. Even the luminous Moon City Master was seriously injured. And this was because the Demon Cloud City Master was poisoned first. He is dying. Let's attack together, the luminous Moon City Master shouted. The situation was clear. The Demon Cloud City Master would die today. The 3 City Masters rushed forward and gave the Demon Cloud City Master a final blow. The Demon Cloud City Master smiled bitterly and stared at Su Yu angrily. You demon! I will not let you go. Although there was no evidence, the 4 City Masters had sided with Su Yu. It must be Su Yu's doing. He regretted not believing the book deity's word. The young man in front of him was a horrible existence that he could not afford to give him any chance. With a flip of his hand, he could summon clouds and rain. With a single thought, he could turn the world upside down. Swoosh! The 10,000-foot-tall demonic body rose into the sky. He was about to escape. Where do you think you are going? The luminous Moon City Master could not let the Demon Cloud City Master escape. He immediately chased after the Demon Cloud City Master with the other 2 City Masters. The Demon Cloud City Master was an arrow at the end of its flight. He could not escape the ultimate attack of the 3 City Masters. Rumble! However, at that moment, thunder rumbled in the sky all of a sudden. An enormous demonic cloud came over the Sea-Watch City like a tsunami. The demonic cloud exuded an extremely solemn and brutal murderous intention. Su Yu was shocked by the brutal aura. The Demon Clan! Su Yu's pupils shone with a strange light. This brutal aura was the unique aura of the Demon Clan. After entering the demonic dimension, the Demon Clan that he saw and came into contact with was not the bloodthirsty Demon Clan in the Star River. Su Yu once wondered if the Demon Clan in the Star River did not come from the demonic dimension. However, the brutal aura coming from the demonic cloud made Su Yu's eyes turn cold. The demonic dimension was indeed the ruler of the Star River. Su Yu's last hope was extinguished. His eyes were filled with ruthlessness. The brutal aura radiated in all directions. Many creatures retreated in fear. Chapter 12:37. Su Yu's heart skipped a beat. Where was the holy magic hall? A young demon appeared from the billowing demonic cloud. He looked like he was in his 30s with a ferocious look. He was a purebred demon. Different from the ordinary purebred demons, the horns on his head were slightly red, and the surface of his body was also blood-red. This kind of demon was very similar to the demonic body of the glittering jewel demonic god. A blood-red demonic god? Behind the young man, there were also blood-red devil race bodies standing in succession. All of them exuded a terrifying aura of brutality, as if they were wild beasts that could pounce on people at any time. It was very unsettling. The luminous Moon City Master and the other two people slowed down and didn't dare to chase after them. They could only watch the Demon Cloud City Master enter the demonic cloud. The blood-red youth, who was the leader, looked at the retreating luminous Moon City Master and the other two people regretfully. What a pity! The luminous Moon City Master trembled. His face was gloomy and fearful. If they had lost their minds and rushed into the demonic cloud just now, it would be regarded as an attack on the Holy Magic Hall. Then, their fate would be to be eaten by the monsters of the Holy Magic Hall. They shuddered when they heard the word pity. "I'm taking him away," the blood-red demonic god said. He didn't take the people present seriously at all. He glanced over the three city masters and fixed his eyes on Su Yu. As for you, his words were filled with coldness. "Follow me to the Holy Magic Hall and wait for your punishment." On the demonic cloud, the Demon Cloud City Master's lips curled into a vicious smile. The Holy Magic Hall was the supreme existence above the 9 realms. The most powerful deities in the demon dimension only listened to the orders of the Demon Emperor. Their existence was to expand and invade the outside world. They were responsible for suppressing rebellions. They were extremely terrifying and bloodthirsty existences. Anyone who was brought into the Holy Magic Hall by them could never come out alive unless the Demon Emperor gave the order. Su Yu had no chance of surviving this time. He would most likely become the food of the monsters of the Holy Magic Hall. If possible, the Demon Cloud City Master didn't want to ask for help from the people in the Holy Magic Hall. Once that happened, he would have to join the Holy Magic Hall. However, Su Yu had forced him into a desperate situation. He had no choice but to ask the Holy Magic Hall for help. "What's the reason?" Su Yu asked calmly when everyone was dead silent. "The reason is that I am a general of the Holy Magic Hall, and I have the authority to investigate a mere city lord like you," the blood-red demonic god said indifferently. Su Yu was unmoved, and he calmly said, "In other words, this is your personal will, and no one gave you any orders?" The blood-red demonic god squinted his eyes. He had thought that he would be able to scare Jiang Yi easily. He did not expect Jiang Yi to be a calm lad. Without the Demon King's order, he indeed did not have the authority to capture a city lord. "Humph! If you say another word, I will tear your mouth apart," the blood-red demonic god snorted coldly. "Come with me. I will say this one last time. This person's aura was overbearing and domineering. None of the deities present dared to speak up for Su Yu. The Holy Magic Hall was undoubtedly a huge rock that pressed down on everyone's hearts, making it hard for them to breathe. At this moment, the 9 jade spiritual pearl flickered, and Puppy appeared. It stared at the blood-red demon god, and there was a tinge of fear in its eyes. "How dare you? He is my city lord. If you want to kill him, you have to ask me first," the 9th princess shouted. The blood-red demonic god stared at Puppy with contempt. "The 9th princess? Even if you were at your peak, you would be worthless in front of the Holy Magic Hall, much less now that you are severely injured. The number of princes and princesses who have died in the Holy Magic Hall is not just 1 or 2. Puppy shrank its neck. It was a little afraid of the Holy Magic Hall. This was a bloody organization that stood above all the princes and princesses. If any of the princes and princesses had the intention of rebelling, they could kill them. This was a knife that hung over the necks of all the creatures in the demonic dimension. He stared at Suyu, looking down on everything. If I want you to leave, you can't scram. If I want you to scram, you can't lie down. Although the demonic dimension is vast, there is no one that I can't control. Not even the demon princess can save you. It's useless no matter who comes. As soon as he finished speaking, an endless fragrance wafted in from all directions. A chilly intent floated over. Is that so? Even I can't? Swish. Two beams of divine light fluctuated and suddenly teleported, revealing two silhouettes. One was the purple-eyed demonic god, who had gone to the demon emperor's capital for a month. In front of him was a beautiful woman in a fluttering, colorful dress. Her expression was cold, and her appearance was exactly the same as a human's. No, judging from her breath, she was a human. Princess Yunxia? The blood-red demonic god's pupils constricted upon hearing that. The first maid of the princess, Cauldron. The princess's maid? Suyu was surprised. The arrogant look on the face of the blood-red demonic god was replaced with a solemn look. You want to meddle in my business? Cauldron's expression was cold. First, you left the capital without orders and detained the city master without permission. I will report this to the princess, and she will ask the demon emperor to judge you. Upon hearing that, the blood-red demonic god's body trembled slightly. He stared at Cauldron with an uncertain expression. Second, it's not me who wants to meddle, it's the princess. The blood-red demonic god was taken aback. What? The princess, she? Looking at Suyu, the blood-red demonic god's face was full of shock and disbelief. Princess Yunxia had specially sent her first maid to care about a small city master? What kind of esteemed status did Princess Yunxia have? The demon cloud city master gasped in horror. He knows Princess Yunxia? The luminous moon city master and the others also widened their eyes. Their throats seemed to be blocked by something, and they couldn't speak. If the demon emperor was the strongest, then Princess Yunxia would be the first person in power. The demon emperor had been in isolation for a long time, and all the affairs of the demonic dimension were handled by Princess Yunxia on his behalf. Some people secretly claimed that Princess Yunxia was the real demon emperor of the demonic dimension, a female demon empress. No one expected that the Sea-Watch city master, who was born as a commoner, would be recognized by Princess Yunxia. Puppy's eyes were wide open, and she was deeply shocked. She realized that she couldn't see through Suyu at all. How could he, a person outside the demonic dimension, know a terrifying woman like Princess Yunxia? Cauldron said indifferently, "You know, why don't you get lost?" The blood-red demonic god's cheeks squirmed, and his expression no longer changed. Instead, he turned around and shouted, "Go!" He didn't hesitate at all, and he didn't even care about Suyu. It was clear that he feared Princess Yunxia very much. The crisis of a great war disappeared without a trace. Suyu's mood was a bit complicated. It seems that the fairy Yunxia that Tianjizi is looking for is the demon emperor's wife. From Tianjizi's last words, he could hear his friendship with the fairy Yunxia. But if Tianjizi knew that the person he loved had become the woman of the demon emperor, would he be willing to let Suyu continue to pass on the message? "You demon, the princess ordered you to go to the demon emperor's capital as soon as possible. She wants to see you." Cauldron showed a little tenderness. Suyu recovered from his daze and nodded. "I understand. After dealing with the matters of the Jingyu realm, I will go to the demon emperor's capital immediately." Cauldron nodded slightly and cast a kind look. When she glanced at the luminous moon city master and the others, her eyes became cold. "Before the U-demon goes to the demon emperor's capital, you will be responsible for his safety. After that," she added, "this is also the princess's order." The luminous moon city master and the others trembled violently and immediately bowed. We will obey. The princess had personally ordered them to protect Suyu, which showed how much she loved Suyu. Just what kind of relationship did they have? Why was the Princess Yunxia, who was known for her iron fist, so protective of Suyu? When Kalen left, the luminous Moon City Master and the other 3 City Masters came over with a look of fear. Luminous Moon City Master, now that the hidden danger in the Jingyu realm has been eliminated, you can issue an edict to take charge of the Jingyu realm on behalf of the princess. Suyu fulfilled his promise. The luminous Moon City Master smiled bitterly. If it weren't for the appearance of Princess Yunxia's maid, he would not only take charge of the Jingyu realm but also eliminate Suyu. He also saw the scene of Suyu's tribulation just now. This kind of person, if he couldn't be a friend, he couldn't be an enemy. And the relationship between them was difficult to be friends. But at this moment, how dare he? He took out the edict and returned it with both hands. I am seriously injured, and I am afraid it is not convenient for me to control the Jingyu realm. It is better for the Sea-Watch City Master to give orders on behalf of the princess. You take it, Suyu said firmly. His ambition was not in the Jingyu realm, but the Holy Magic Hall. That was the real threat to the creatures of the Xing River. You also heard that the princess and I can't stay in the Jingyu realm for a long time. The Jingyu realm cannot be without a master for a day. Before the princess recovers from her injury, you will take charge of it, Suyu said as if he was giving an order. The luminous Moon City Master had no objection to this and said respectfully, yes. Finally, Suyu looked at the purple-eyed demonic god and said, thanks to the purple-eyed demonic god, you really handed the letter to the princess. Without you, the consequences would be unimaginable. The purple-eyed demonic god's eyes flickered with surprise. Princess Yunxia had a total of 9 maids. The 9 maids often went out to handle affairs on her behalf. Only the first maid stayed by her side all year round and almost never went out. But this time, she made an exception for Suyu, which really surprised the purple-eyed demonic god. Princess Yunxia's attention to this person was unusual. Little friend, you have hidden your strength well. I am just an errand boy, the purple-eyed demonic god said thoughtfully. Suyu cupped his hands and did not explain. The rebellion in the Jingyu realm had been quelled, but the book deity behind the scenes was still at large. His eyes flashed slightly, and the purple-eyed demonic god said, little friend, shouldn't the book deity be dealt with as soon as possible? He has stirred up the Jingyu realm with his schemes. If he escapes, the consequences will be no small matter. No need to go, it is already too late. Suyu shook his head. Based on Suyu's understanding of the book deity had already escaped when he saw the situation was not right. It was impossible for him to stay. However, the purple-eyed demonic god still went to investigate. In a secret room with the residual scent of the book deity, there was no trace of the book deity, but a communication jade pendant was left. When the jade pendant was presented to Suyu, Suyu was slightly surprised. The book deity left a message for me? This is not like his style. This person prefers to attack from behind and will not leave his traces easily. After checking the jade pendant and making sure there was no trap, Suyu crushed it. Alien, do you want the book deity? He is in my hand. Why don't we talk about it? Whether we come to an agreement or not, his life is at your disposal. Suyu was shocked. The book deity had been taken away. The purple-eyed demonic god's purple eyes seemed to be probing something, but all matters related to the book deity were blocked by an unfathomable vortex. Little friend, the origin of the person who attacked you is unknown, and his motive for meeting you is unclear. It is best not to meet him. Suyu's eyes narrowed and after a while, he stood up slowly. This person's motive for meeting me is indeed unclear, but as for his identity, I have some guesses. Suyu's eyes flashed. He knows that I am under the protection of the princess, but he still dares to ask me to meet him. This person must have something important to discuss with me. 3 days later, Su Yu left the Sea-Watch city alone and came to the border between the Jingyu realm and the Jingxian realm. The bamboo forest here was lush, and a graceful girl in a purple dress was leaning gracefully on a dark green bamboo. Her beautiful figure was slightly tilted, outlining her graceful and beautiful figure clearly. She was holding a demonic book and reading it attentively. Chapter 1238. The visitor was naturally Su Yu. Looking at the delicate and beautiful girl in front of him, Su Yu said lightly, "Thanks to the sixth princess, we meet again in the demon realm." The person who asked him to meet was none other than the sixth princess. When you transform into a demon, you are still a handsome mess. I can't help but feel sorry for you." The sixth princess laughed. Su Yu was unmoved, and the expression on his face did not change. You are so expressionless, and you really disappoint my admiration." The sixth princess giggled. Su Yu said lightly, "I don't think a woman who sent the book deity to catch me has any real admiration for me." "Very much." The sixth princess said with a smile, "You can be so valued by Princess Yunxia, you want me to admire you as much as you want." Su Yu stared deeply at the sixth princess. "You really came for Princess Yunxia?" Before this, the sixth princess was only interested in Su Yu because of his ability to reverse the demonization. Now, her interest lies in the relationship between Su Yu and Princess Yunxia. "Of course, part of it is for your own good," the sixth princess said, pausing before saying, "Do you know what kind of woman Princess Yunxia is?" Regarding her, Su Yu naturally tried his best to inquire about her in the past 3 days. She came to the demon realm more than 100 years ago, was favored by the demon emperor, and married as a princess. She was extremely favored by the demon emperor, and her status was far above the other princesses and even the queen. Almost all the affairs of the demon emperor were handed over to her, and she also showed extraordinary governance methods. Her methods were strong and ruthless, and the 9 demon princes and princesses of the demon realm were submissive. The city lords of all the realms were also suppressed by this woman, and they were in awe of her. Even the Holy Magic Hall, a terrorist organization full of monsters, was neatly cleaned up by Princess Yunxia. Looking at the demon realm, no one dared to disrespect her. Capable and decisive, and her methods are brilliant and ruthless, Su Yu said. The sixth princess said, "Well, it's about the same as I thought. That's all the information you can find out." Su Yu raised his eyebrows slightly. Listening to the sixth princess, it seemed that she had something else to say. In the eyes of the Devil Realm creatures, she is a powerful queen, but in the eyes of us princes and princesses, do you know what kind of role she is? The sixth princess came over, her slender figure swaying in the bamboo forest. Su Yu turned a blind eye to her flirtatious behavior and calmly said, "What does it matter to me what kind of person she is? Yes, that's because it's very likely that you won't be able to return." And Su Yu's gaze turned grave, but his expression remained calm. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm not threatening you, but you really can't come back. Princess Yunxia definitely does not have good intentions towards you." The sixth princess enunciated clearly, and her purple pupils were full of seriousness and seriousness. Su Yu was silent. He had never thought that passing a message for Tianjizi would earn him the love of Princess Yunxia. At the end of the day, he was just a mouthpiece, not worth mentioning. However, Su Yu didn't quite believe that Princess Yunxia had bad intentions towards him. Maybe you don't know yet, but in addition to the first maid, the second, third, and fourth maids have actually come to the Jingyu realm, including Kai Lin, who left. The first maid did not go back, but stayed at the border of the Jingyu realm with the other maids. Kai Lin did not leave? Su Yu's eyes narrowed. Why do you think the 4 maids surrounded the Jingyu realm in 4 directions? I guess it's not to stay to enjoy the scenery, right? Suddenly, Su Yu was deeply vigilant. They were guarding against Su Yu leaving. If Princess Yunxia only wanted to know what Tianjizi's message was, why would she do this? She must have other plans. Yu subconsciously clenched his right palm, and his heart trembled. Could it be the Milky Way star sand? Tianjizi had the Milky Way star sand, and Princess Yunxia might have known about it. Now that he was looking for her, she would have guessed whether the Milky Way star sand would be with Yu. And to be on the safe side, she was worried that Yu would hide the Milky Way star sand elsewhere, so she did not use forceful means, but used gentle means to make Yu let down his guard. This was very similar to the means that Princess Yunxia often used in the records. Thinking back to himself, if the sixth princess had not suddenly invited Yu and reminded him of the mysterious movements of the four maids, he really would not have been vigilant. It seems that you finally understand. The sixth princess giggled. In fact, I'm also very curious. That woman has sent her four most capable maids to keep an eye on you. To be honest, apart from my eldest brother, you are the first one who has had this kind of treatment. The first prince inherited the demon emperor's divine path and was likely to surpass his father in the future. It was normal for the princess to be wary of him, but it was extremely unusual for an outsider like Yu, who had no impact on her status, to be so guarded against. After a moment of silence, Yu said in a low voice, "So, in the eyes of the princes and princesses, what kind of person is she? A usurper?" The sixth princess uttered 3 words full of murderous intent. Yu laughed. "With the power of the demon emperor, who can usurp the throne? No, you underestimate the cruelty of this woman." There was both hatred and fear in the eyes of the sixth princess. "It is true that she can't touch my father, but it is easy to shake the princes and princesses like us." Yu rolled his eyes and said in surprise, "You mean, she wants to get rid of all the princes and princesses, so that the position of the demon emperor will have no heir?" "Yes," the sixth princess said, "that is what she intends to do, and that is what she has done. She took advantage of my father's retreat for hundreds of years to arrange all the means to suppress the 9 princes and princesses. On the surface, we 9 princes and princesses still infest this piece of land in the demon realm, but you should have seen what happened to the 9th princess. After she was killed, did any of the city masters stand up for her? No. The 6th princess said, because in the past 100 years, Princess Yunxia has used iron-blooded means to tell all the city masters that she is the ruler of the demon realm, not the princes and princesses of each fief. Yu nodded secretly. The experience of Puppy was indeed cited as evidence. She has successively deprived us of the power of the princes and princesses. Apart from the right to appoint the city masters, we do not have much jurisdiction over the various city masters, so the city masters are not afraid of us at all. If these means are considered mild, then a new rule that she has promulgated will certainly explain your doubts. Why do the Demon Cloud City Master, and even the Luminous Moon City Master and others, have such courage to hold Her Royal Highness hostage and prepare to command the world? Are they not afraid of the wrath of the royal family? I think you must have wondered about this question. Yu nodded solemnly. Indeed, he had thought about this question. He dared to hold Puppy hostage because he did not intend to stay in the demon realm for a long time. Once the incident happened, he could just run away. However, the Demon Cloud City Master and others were rooted in the demon realm. How could they not fear the wrath of the royal family? That's because she has promulgated a rule that any city master can seize the position of the realm master by virtue of his own ability. It is said to promote the efforts of many city masters, but in fact, it is to deprive us of the special power of the princes and princesses. So, if there is an attack between the city masters, the royal family will definitely investigate. However, if there is an attack between the city masters and the princes and princesses, it is in line with the rules, and the royal family will not intervene. This is why any city master dares to dream of holding the emperor and ordering the princes and princesses. This rule is only known by the deity-level city masters and the princes and princesses. It is reasonable that you do not know about it. Taking a deep breath, The sixth princess's cold purple eyes stared deeply at Su Yu. This is the Princess Yunxia in the eyes of the princes and princesses, an ambitious woman who wants to destroy us. Su Yu pondered. So far, she has only suppressed you, and I can't see the intention to get rid of you. Oh, that's because you don't know the existence of the bitter sea sacrifice. The sixth princess's eyes showed fear. The bitter sea sacrifice? What was that? This is a new rule that she secretly promulgated 10 years ago. Because the bitter sea continues to erode the demon realm continent, this woman used the order of my father, who was in isolation, to open the bitter sea sacrifice every 10 years, sacrificing a prince or princesses to the giant of the bitter sea in order to slow down the erosion of the bitter sea. In history, there have indeed been cases where members of the royal family were dragged into the bitter sea, and the bitter sea stopped the erosion. Her statement is still reasonable, but the bitter sea is not terrible enough to devour all the demon realm continent. If the sacrifice is not to destroy us, what is it? At the rate of once every 10 years, in less than 100 years, the princes and princesses would all be destroyed. First, the influence of the princes and princesses was weakened, so that they lost the power to call on all the gods to resist. Finally, the dagger was revealed, and they were so vicious that they were sacrificed to the giant of the bitter sea one by one. Su Yu couldn't help but think of these words. The most vicious woman's heart. Even Su Yu shuddered in fear. Was Princess Yunxia such a vicious woman? Then why don't you complain to the demon emperor? Su Yu said. The sixth princess smiled bitterly. Father's retreat does not allow anyone to visit, and the same goes for us princes and princesses. What about the last time the demon emperor made a move to save you and the seventh prince from the hands of the god of death? The sixth princess said, that was father's projection, not his real self. It disappeared in a flash, and there was no time for us to complain. The 10-year period is up, and the weakest prince and princess among us will be sent to be sacrificed. Whoever resists will be killed by the holy magic hall. We, the princes and princesses, are no longer the glorious existences high above us, but livestock that are kept in captivity and have no power to resist. After listening, Su Yu couldn't help but touch his nose. It was the first time that the princes and princesses had been sacrificed like this. This was simply too tragic. Then why did you come to me? Just to remind me not to see her? The sixth princess shook her head, her eyes focused on Su Yu, full of ardent hope. No, I hope you can help me with something. You want me to kill her? Su Yu said. If that was the case, he could only sneer. How could he deal with Princess Yunxia, who was so powerful and influential? No. The sixth princess shook her head and looked at Su Yu. You elope with me. Chapter 1239. P.S. Here is today's update, and by the way, I want to poll votes for the Qidyan 515 Fan Festival. Everyone has 8 votes, and the voting also gives some coins. Did I misunderstand something? Su Yu said in amazement. The sixth princess shook her head. No, you didn't misunderstand. My request is literal. Elope with me and leave the demon realm. With such a turn of events, Su Yu was confused. After returning to his senses, Su Yu murmured, although you princes and princesses are bullied, it shouldn't be difficult to escape from the demon realm, right? Last time, she and the seventh prince reached the Xing River through the 9 demons' god sealing ring. It is not difficult to leave the demon realm, but it is extremely difficult to avoid the holy magic hall. The sixth princess offered a drop of demon god blood on her fingertip. Compared with the ordinary demon god blood, it contained a unique royal aura. As long as I have half of the royal bloodline, no matter where I escape, the holy magic hall can find me. The fate of the princes and princesses who escaped the demon realm in the past explains everything. So, if I elope with you, the holy magic hall won't find out? The sixth princess looked at Su Yu's right hand. Yes. You can reverse the demonization of the all-access merchant god, and you must have separated my demon god blood. If you can also separate the aura of my royal family, it will be difficult for the Holy Magic Hall to find me. No wonder the sixth princess and the seventh prince were willing to risk offending the god of death to grab Suyu. They probably speculated on the role of the Milky Way star sand. Suyu fell into deep thought. After a conversation, he learned that the seemingly prosperous interior of the demon realm was dangerous. The demon emperor was in seclusion, and Princess Yunxia held the power of the demon realm and killed the princes and princesses of the demon realm. Man proposes but God disposes, and the situation was far beyond Su Yu's expectations. How about it, as long as you are willing to help me, I am willing to give myself to you and be your partner. My beauty is the best in the demon realm, and my strength is second only to the eldest prince among the princes and princesses. If I stay with you, I can protect you until you become a god. The sixth princess came over, her slender and exquisite body gently leaned in Su Yu's arms, and the corners of her mouth evoked a charming smile. Su Yu calmly raised the mortal fairy's strength and shook it off. Then, he said indifferently, you don't have to suppress the disgust in your heart and force a smile. The sixth princess's smile froze. Indeed, as a demon, she was born to despise the creatures of the galaxy. Marrying someone who was not a demon was indeed disgusting to her. So what is your decision? The sixth princess stared at Su Yu's eyes and asked expectantly. Sorry, I refuse. Su Yu looked at the sixth princess lightly. My intuition tells me that you are not trustworthy. There were too many loopholes in the sixth princess's words. The simplest example was, why did her attitude change so much? A month ago, she had sent the book deity to capture him. Now, she was compromising and would rather surrender herself to Su Yu? Something must have happened. Farewell. Su Yu turned around. The Purple Eye City Master and the Luminous Moon City Master appeared abruptly and escorted Su Yu away vigilantly. As for the book deity whom he had previously promised, Su Yu didn't ask, but he already had some guesses. Watching Su Yu leave, the sixth princess bit her silver teeth, and a gloomy color flashed in her eyes. She said coldly, "It seems that your strategy didn't work." A pale middle-aged man, who was no longer as elegant as before, stepped out of the bamboo forest. Who else could it be but the book deity? Where did he show the slightest sign of being caught? It's reasonable that he didn't agree. If it were anyone else, they would doubt the sixth princess's intentions. The book deity didn't care. It was indeed the book deity who plotted behind the scenes. If it weren't for Princess Yunxia, who sent 4 maids to protect him, I wouldn't have to go through so much trouble. I would have just caught him and taken away the ability in his right palm. The sixth princess recalled that she had thrown herself into his arms and felt disgusted. What she had just said was 70% true and 30% false. The ambition of Princess Yunxia and the situation of the princes and princesses were not empty words. The princes and princesses had reached the moment of life and death. They were all secretly accumulating strength and preparing to launch a coup. Before the sacrifice of the bitter sea arrived, they would fight desperately. She launched a surprise attack and assassinated the 9th princess, who was ignorant and the least scheming, in order to have more powerful forces in the coup. In the eyes of outsiders, the 6th princess killed her sister in order to compete for the throne. Only she knew that she was just saving her own life. As for sacrificing her sister, what feelings were there between the royal families of the demon race? She used the book deity's strategy to include Su Yu in her pocket. The purpose was to give herself a way out. In case the coup failed, she could use Su Yu's ability to eliminate the power of the royal bloodline and avoid being tracked by the Holy Magic Hall. She hated that Su Yu's will was firm. She was willing to give herself to him, but he was unmoved. The book deity was also very regretful. If Su Yu had turned to the 6th princess, he had 100 ways to kill him silently. This matter needs to be considered at length. The 6th princess exhaled deeply. Once the coup is launched, it will be irreversible. If it fails, there is only a glimmer of hope to escape to the galaxy. The royal breath in my bloodline is a big hidden danger after all. A trace of bitterness and helplessness bloomed between her lips. Sea-Watch City Mansion. Suyu had been practicing silently for 3 days, stabilizing the 3 realms of the mortal fairy that had just broken through. 1 day later, the purple-eyed demonic god quietly came to Suyu's place. "How is it?" Suyu opened his eyes and looked around vigilantly. The purple-eyed demonic god's face was sullen. "The 6th princess is right. You have really been surrounded. The 4 maids of Princess Yunxia are guarding the north, south, east, and west of Sea-Watch City. It is almost impossible to escape without alarming them. In addition, about the sacrifice of the bitter sea, it is true. Furthermore, according to the last time, the person chosen at random to be sacrificed should be the 6th princess. It is no wonder that she is so impatient in her actions, vainly attempting to annex the Jingyu realm and grasp greater power. She is truly anxious." Sure enough, Suyu's heart was heavy. Although the 6th princess was not kind to him, Princess Yunxia seemed to be determined to get the Milky Way star sand. Tianjizi, you really left me with a huge task," Suyu murmured. If he did not bring the message, he would not be able to fully control the Milky Way star sand and wake up the sleeping tree god. But if he did, the Milky Way star sand would be taken away by Princess Yunxia, and he would not be able to keep his life. Now that the 4 maids are watching, you can't delay for too long. Otherwise, Princess Yunxia will lose her patience and directly detain you to the Demon Emperor. At that time, everything will be too late. Little friend, you still need to plan early. Suyu's eyes flashed slightly. Going to the Demon Emperor now must be a suicide mission, but if you go too late, time is tight, and some plans need to be arranged in advance. Pass down the order. Her Royal Highness the 9th Princess has returned and invited all the princes and princesses to a banquet. Suyu pondered for a while, his eyes flashed, and he wrote 8 letters, each stamped with the jade seal of the 9th Princess. The purple-eyed demonic god was slightly surprised. "Is the 6th Princess also invited to a banquet?" "Please," Suyu said. The purple-eyed demonic god realized the seriousness of the matter, and the situation was extraordinarily serious. He immediately held 6 letters and sent them everywhere. After he left, Suyu summoned Qianjun. "Have you found the early quasi-gods who were detained by Liang?" Suyu asked. Since the Demon Cloud City was pacified, Qianjun was responsible for taking over the affairs of the Demon Cloud City, and looking for those loyal early quasi-gods was also part of the task. "I have lived up to your expectations, my lord, and have found them." Suyu nodded. "Well, there are a total of 100 of them, and 30 of them will be at your disposal. From now on, they will hide in the demon realm and never come out." "Ah, my lord, what are you doing?" Qianjun was shocked. Suyu said, "Maybe I will leave the demon realm soon and return to the Xing River. You lead them to stay in the demon realm, lurk, and secretly inquire about the news of the demon realm." The situation had changed dramatically, and Suyu had to plan early. "My lord, I am willing to leave the demon realm with you," Qianjun said. Suyu had given him a new lease of life, and it was worth following. "Oh, the role of inquiring for me is incomparable to several gods. In the demon realm, there are not many people I can trust, and you are one of them. This matter can only be handed over to you." Suyu patted him on the shoulder. "After I leave, the affairs of the demon realm will be entrusted to you." Qianjun was moved and solemnly bowed. "Yes, I will not disappoint you." Not long after, he and Shah-Er led 30 carefully selected prospective gods and disappeared from Sea-Watch City. Their movements naturally could not be hidden from the eyes of the 4 deity maids outside the city. However, a group of prospective gods was comparable to ants in their eyes. They were not worth paying attention to, so they did not care. Leaning on the seat of the city master, Suyu was lost in thought. Puppy had come out at some point and was lying at Su Yu's feet. Her bright dog eyes were curiously looking at Su Yu. After pacifying the Jingyu realm, Su Yu, who could have really become the actual ruler of the Jingyu realm, suddenly faced the terrible existence of Princess Yunxia. Normally, Puppy would have been gloating, but staring at Su Yu's frown, she could not laugh. Although this guy is hateful, it is not easy. First, there was a group of prospective gods chasing and intercepting, then there was the demon Cloud City Master who cleaned up the Emperor's side, and now he is targeted by Princess Yunxia. Puppy thought that although Su Yu was bad, he did not seem to be malicious to her. At least, he was better than the demon Cloud City Master. If he died like this, it would be a pity. After thinking about it again, Puppy opened her mouth and spat out a golden spear. The spear was golden all over, and the surface was burning with a layer of faint golden flames. It was very gentle and did not have any scorching air. This is... Su Yu looked down and asked suspiciously. Golden flames, forbidden wood. Puppy said, for you to save your life. Su Yu's pupils shrank slightly. This was the golden flames forbidden wood, the first divine wood of the demon realm that restrained the giant of the bitter sea? There were only 10 pieces in total, 1 for each of the 9 princes and princesses, and 1 for the demon emperor. This should be the most powerful thing on Puppy. Without taking the spear, Su Yu picked up Puppy and put her on his lap. His eyes were soft. Puppy, do you want me to die? Puppy hesitated for a moment, nodded, and snorted in her heart. I don't think so. I'll let you show off first. Ah, it's true that love grows with time. You have never left me. Are you deeply in love with me? Puppy gritted her teeth angrily as if to say, shameless. She opened her mouth and swallowed back the golden flames forbidden wood. She regretted it, but after swallowing half of it, it was forcibly pulled out by Su Yu. Puppy, you have to be honest. How can you take back what you spit out? Let me keep it for you. Holding the golden flames forbidden wood spear without hesitation, Su Yu gently stroked her head and comforted the angry Puppy. After struggling and protesting twice, Puppy obediently lay down and enjoyed the touch comfortably, moaning in enjoyment. She did not realize that she was really becoming more and more like a little white dog. Touching the golden flames forbidden wood, Su Yu's eyes were full of regret. It's a pity that there is only 1 spear. If there is enough golden flames forbidden wood, maybe I won't be so passive. Puppy's ears moved, hesitated for a moment, and said, the seed of the golden flames forbidden wood is in the hands of the 6th princess. What? Su Yu was shocked. Chapter 1240. P.S. Here's today's update, and by the way, I'd like to drum up votes for Qidian 515 Fan Festival. Everyone has 8 votes, and the voting also gives some coins. I beg for your support and appreciation. There is only 1 seed of the golden flames forbidden wood in the demon realm, and it is in the hands of the demon emperor. This is a well-known fact. When the 6th princess was born, the demon emperor gave the seed to the 6th princess as a blessing. This is a royal secret, and it is really difficult for outsiders to know. The seed of the golden flames forbidden wood is actually on her. Su Yu was surprised. With a thoughtful look, Su Yu's eyes lit up. If the seed of the golden flames forbidden wood can be planted, maybe the situation will be different. The purple-eyed demonic god's letter was sent to the hands of every prince and princess. Nominally, the 9th princess escaped from the hands of the giant of the bitter sea, and it was understandable that she invited her brothers and sisters to come to the gathering. Although the 4 maids were on guard, they couldn't stop her. The 6th princess, who received the letter, was surprised. It seems that Su Yu is not willing to sit still and wait for death? In addition to me, he also invited other brothers and sisters. The book deity frowned slightly. Your Highness, are you going? Of course. The 6th princess smiled, revealing her white teeth. In half a year, it will be the sacrifice of the bitter sea. There are not many opportunities for us princes and princesses to gather together. I believe that the other princes and princesses will come to this gathering organized by Suyu. Why, you don't want me to go? The sixth princess turned to look at the book deity. The book deity's eyes flashed with a strange light, and he shook his head. No. No one knew what he was thinking in his heart. The rest of the princes and princesses all received the letter and gave the purple-eyed demonic god a positive reply. Only one person was an exception. So, except for the seventh prince, all the other princes and princesses are willing to come? Suyu listened to the purple-eyed demonic god's reply, and his eyes flashed. The seventh prince, that cultured and refined prince with astonishing strength? Among the princes and princesses, although he was young, his strength was firmly in the top three, only below the eldest prince and the sixth princess. His refusal was really unexpected. However, one less person would not affect the overall situation. Half a month later, the 7 princes and princesses all came to Seawatch City to visit their 9th sister. As the focus of attention today, the 9th princess was released by Suyu. She sat in the seat of the city master and greeted the princes and princesses who came to visit. When it was time for lunch, everyone moved to another living room. There were restrictions set up by the purple-eyed demonic god above and below the living room, which could prevent gods from probing. Seeing this scene, the eyes of the princes and princesses flashed. They knew that the main event was coming. The host was still the 9th princess. She had been waiting in the living room for a long time. However, when the princes and princesses entered, they found that the 9th princess was no longer in the main seat. Instead, it was a silver-haired demon. Their 9th sister was squatting at his feet like a spiritual pet. All the princes and princesses knew who Suyu was, and they were well aware that he was holding the 9th princess hostage. Some of the princes and princesses looked indifferent, while others looked indignant. She was the daughter of the Devil Emperor, but under the suppression of Princess Yunxia, she was reduced to a spiritual pet. Demon Yu, we understand that you are valued by Princess Yunxia, but today is a day for us brothers and sisters to reunite. Can you, an outsider, please step aside? The one who spoke was the 2nd princess. She was beautiful and had an indignant look in her eyes. Suyu looked at her with a little appreciation. Among the 9 princes and princesses, she was the only one who stood up for Goa. Your Highness the 2nd princess, don't burn the bridge after crossing the river. You've hurt my feelings. Anyway, it was I who invited you, so I can give you a chance to discuss life and death matters together. Otherwise, it wouldn't be easy for you to find a suitable excuse to gather. The 2nd princess frowned. You seem to know our situation. Are you not afraid that we will kill you? How will killing me help you in your current situation? It is because I know your situation that I gathered you today and am willing to help you, Suyu said slowly. The 2nd princess sneered. Do you think that you, a little city master? Well, my identity as a little city master is certainly not enough. What if I have another identity? In the crowd, the 6th princess was surprised and looked at Suyu curiously. Another identity? Is it possible that you are from the Holy Magic Hall? The 2nd princess was suspicious. Suyu smiled and shook his head. If I were from the Holy Magic Hall, how could I be blamed by the people of the Holy Magic Hall in public? Then you are from Princess Yunxia? This doesn't seem to need to be emphasized, right? The 2nd princess snorted coldly, her eyes full of hatred. Your Royal Highness the 2nd princess, should I say that you are straightforward and careless, or should I say that you are cute and stupid? When you came, you should have found the 4 maids of Princess Yunxia, right? You don't think that they are guarding Seawatch City because they are afraid that I will be cold, right? The rest of the princes and princesses were silent. When they came, they saw the clues. The situation of this demon did not seem to be as good as the rumors said. Princess Yunxia was monitoring him. Then what is your identity? Don't keep us guessing. The 2nd princess put her hands on her hips and said angrily. Suyu narrowed his eyes. My identity. Oh, the great Eastern Alliance, the acting god, the feather god. When these words came out, the audience was shocked. The sixth princess was secretly surprised. She was the only one who knew Su Yu's true identity, but she didn't know that Su Yu dared to announce it to the demon royal family. What? You are an outsider. Sneaking into my demon world and becoming a city master. What are your intentions? When the second princess heard this, she immediately flared up. Her eyes narrowed as she attacked Su Yu. Oh, your royal highness, the second princess, please calm down. A purple light flashed and stopped the impulsive second princess. Purple-eyed demonic god, you betrayed the demon world? Aren't you afraid of being hunted down by the holy magic hall? The second princess asked sternly. The purple-eyed demonic god smiled and said, Then, dare I ask the second princess who is loyal to the demon world, what will happen to you? The second princess was speechless. Her fate was to be chosen as the next sacrifice of the bitter sea in fear and trepidation. Looking at the rest of the princes and princesses, although shocked, no one had a hostile reaction. On the contrary, many princes and princesses' vigilance eased a lot. As an outsider, Su Yu is even more unlikely to be a person of Princess Yunxia. They have a common enemy. It seems that you understand. Su Yu smiled faintly and glanced at the princes and princesses present. You launched a coup, and I will leave you with a way to escape. He was concise and to the point, stating the theme of today's gathering. Can you prepare a way for us? The second princess said, looking up and down at Su Yu, her face full of disbelief. Do you have a large number of masters of the Great Eastern Alliance to support you? I am the only one. You really dare to talk big. Why are you preparing a way for us? The second princess shook her head. The rest of the princes and princesses were also calm, and there was not much expectation. They knew very well that the key to restricting their escape route was their natural royal aura. With this aura, no matter where they fled, they could not escape the pursuit of the holy magic hall. Su Yu smiled faintly and held Puppy in his arms. His right palm gently stroked her smooth fur from head to toe. Puppy trembled, and her bright eyes overflowed with shyness. But then, Puppy suddenly exclaimed, Ah! My royal aura! And this exclamation attracted the attention of the princes and princesses. Swish! Several princes and princesses got up in horror, and their eyes widened. They clearly found that the royal aura emitted by Puppy's body was completely eliminated, and there was not a trace left. At first glance, Puppy was just like an ordinary demon, and they could not feel the slightest royal aura. In this way, if Puppy left the demon realm, unless the holy magic hall searched all corners of the Xing River, they would not find Puppy at all. Suddenly, their eyes burned with burning light, and they stared at Su Yu with heavy breathing, their eyes full of excitement. Of course, there were also greedy eyes. The purple-eyed demonic god's eyes narrowed, and he quietly protected Su Yu behind him. He whispered, Isn't it too early to be disloyal? However, his warning could not dispel the blazing eyes of the princes and princesses. The sacrifice of the bitter sea was like a nightmare that haunted them. They had been frightened for decades, and when they saw hope in a desperate situation, how could they be stopped by a small city master? Seeing that the princes and princesses were about to go berserk and fall into a situation out of control, Su Yu was disappointed. A group of useless mud, sit down. However, at this moment, a voice that was filled with magnetism and was not loud came from the mouth of a prince who had not stood up all this time. His facial features were firm, his eyes were clear and calm, and his temperament was steady, giving people a sense of reliability. When the voice fell, the princes and princesses, who were ready to move, actually quieted down and sat down again, full of extreme respect for the prince. Su Yu looked at this person. With such majesty, he should be the rumored first prince. He had the most potential to surpass the current demon emperor. The first prince raised his head, and a pair of deep and sharp eyes were cast at Su Yu. Suddenly, Suyu felt a bit of stinging pain in his eyes. His eyes narrowed, and he secretly channeled a trace of divine power from the great path divine source to resolve the pain caused by the sharp eyes. You do have the ability to give us a way out, so what price do we have to pay? Suyu showed an appreciative smile. Finally, I met someone who knows how to make a deal. I help you resolve the royal aura, and you help me escape from the demon realm, Suyu said. The first prince didn't think for a long time, and on behalf of the princes and princesses, he agreed. Okay. If our coup succeeds, you can go or stay at will. But if we fail, we will take you out of the demon realm, on the condition that you help us resolve the royal aura. Okay. The first prince nodded and looked at Suyu for a moment. In the intertwining of their eyes, Suyu, who represented the Great Eastern Alliance, and the demon realm's royal family reached an agreement. Next, the two sides discussed the details. Only when they escaped from the demon realm, Suyu would resolve the royal aura for the princes and princesses. Before leaving, they needed to send a member of the royal family to follow Suyu closely, both to monitor and protect him. For the candidate, the second princess volunteered and stared at Suyu provocatively. Leave it to me. I will never give this guy a chance to cheat. The princes and princesses looked at each other and seemed to be discussing. The second princess's words were not impossible. Let the sixth princess do it, the first prince said lightly. The second princess was not convinced. I can do it. The first prince looked at her and shook his head. You have a straightforward temperament. You can't control the feather demon. In a short confrontation, the first prince could see Suyu's temperament and character. He must be a strategist. Only smart people can really control Suyu. Among the 9 princes and princesses, the 6th princess was famous for her cleverness, and it was the most appropriate to leave it to her. You can just say that I am stupid. The second princess clenched her fists angrily. The first prince was indifferent and looked at the 6th princess. Sixth princess, what do you think? Of course I am willing. The 6th princess's bright eyes turned, and her delicate face smiled like 100 flowers blooming. A trace of slyness returned to her eyes and was branded on Suyu. Heartless man, it seems that you can't get rid of me. Chapter 1241. P.S. Here's today's update, and by the way, I'd like to solicit votes for the Chidien 515 Fan Festival. Everyone has 8 votes, and the voting also gives some coins. I beg for your support and appreciation. Suyu frowned slightly. To be honest, he was deeply afraid of the resourceful 6th princess. She was not only smart, but also extremely powerful. When the all-access merchant god was in her hands, he had no power to resist. In terms of real combat power, she should be able to compete with the Dakini. With such a person around, he really didn't know whether it was a blessing or a curse. However, this was the discussion of the royal family members, and Suyu could not change it. He could only accept it. Okay. The day of the coup is the day I will go to the Demon Emperor. The only way to leave the demon realm is through the ancient altar of the Demon Emperor. In the end, they will meet in the Demon Emperor. After sending away the princes and princesses, only the 6th princess stayed. It seems that you are going to elope with all the members of our royal family, the 6th princess teased, smiling sweetly, and her bright eyes were full of wisdom. Suyu said thoughtfully, Are you sure you will lose? I don't think so, right? Since you decided to coup, I don't believe that you have no backup plan. The 6th princess smiled and said, Of course there is, but I won't tell you. Like a fawn, she jumped lightly to Guwa and stroked him with a smile, but Guwa grimaced at her. A few months ago, the 6th princess wanted her life. Suyu would not ask about their backup plan, but there was one thing he had to ask. 6th princess, do you have the seed of the golden flame's forbidden wood? Suyu turned his head and said calmly. The 6th princess was slightly stunned, but after rolling her eyes, she said with a smile, Call me Jing Xian. Su Yu said, "This is not a trivial matter, I am not joking. I want to hear you call me Jing Xian." Sixth Princess, please be serious. Call me Jing Xian. Jing Xian, the seed of the golden flames forbidden wood. He, of course, it is in my hands. Do you want it? Su Yu was not used to this eccentric princess and said in a deep voice, "Yes. I can give you what you want in exchange." "I refuse." The sixth princess, with her hands behind her back, refused decisively with a smile. The result was not out of Su Yu's expectations. After all, it was the seed of the first divine tree of the demonic dimension, and there was only one left. How could it be exchanged so easily? Forget it then. The seed of the golden flames forbidden wood could only change the passive situation, but it couldn't determine the final outcome. It would be best if he did, but if not, there was nothing he could do. "Come and take it yourself," the sixth princess said with a smile, her eyes full of teasing. "A seed that is about to die has no exchange value. If you want it, you can take it yourself." Su Yu was slightly pleased. This sixth princess was not so hateful after all. "Where?" "Here." The sixth princess raised a pair of well-proportioned snowy peaks the size of a fist and pointed to her chest. Around her snow-white neck, there seemed to be something hanging from a red string that extended to her chest. She always carried the seed with her. This woman gave Su Yu a headache. Was she teasing him again? "If you don't mind, I won't hold back." Su Yu quickly walked up to her and pressed down on her shoulder, while his other hand reached into her collar without hesitation. The sixth princess was mischievous. How could she expect Su Yu to be so decisive? She was shocked and hurriedly covered her chest and stepped back. She was ashamed and angry. "How dare you? Didn't you ask me to take it?" Su Yu said lightly. The sixth princess was a little angry and amused. She pulled out the pendant and threw it to Su Yu from dozens of feet away. She dared not approach Su Yu again for fear that Su Yu would do what he did just now. After throwing away the pendant, she stomped her feet and teleported away. She snorted, "I will watch you. Don't think you can go far." He grabbed the pendant. There was a faint body temperature and the fragrance of a young girl left on it. He crushed the metal pendant, and a dim golden seed appeared in front of him. A very weak vitality fluctuated from within the seed. If he didn't deliberately observe it, he could hardly feel this vitality. "It has been damaged to this extent?" Su Yu frowned and immediately moved his mind. He brought the seed into the 9-jade spiritual pearl and buried it in the supreme growing soil. After a moment of silent observation, Su Yu was slightly relieved. The vitality that was slowly flowing away in the seed gradually stabilized and showed a slight increase. It's still not too late. If it was a few days later, the supreme growing soil couldn't be saved. Su Yu felt a little lucky. Looking at the situation, it could germinate in half a month. As for maturity, it depends on the attribute of the golden flame's forbidden wood. He instructed Xinggu to take care of the seed and not let it be eaten by the chaotic multicolored butterfly. Su Yu returned to his body. When he opened his eyes, a furry head was in front of him at a close distance. Su Yu opened his eyes and was startled. He stumbled and rolled clumsily. "What are you doing?" Su Yu flicked the puppy's head in annoyance. The puppy held the head with two front paws, rubbed it, and said angrily, "Nothing." It witnessed the sixth princess adjusting Su Yu's breath and saw that Su Yu actually did something to the sixth princess. For some reason, it felt that its things had been taken away by the sixth princess. This kind of uncomfortable feeling made it very strange. After Su Yu's soul left the body, it curiously came up to look at Su Yu. As a result, it was shocked by Su Yu. Su Yu rolled his eyes at it and was about to get up. A divine fluctuation flashed in front of him without warning. "Feather Demon, why haven't you seen the princess yet? It has been half a month." Kaylin's cold voice came. She still had a kind smile on her face, but compared to the last time, she was a little more alert. The 9 princes and princesses were gathered here, and the sixth princess stayed, which made her suspicious. Su Yu asked, "Hey, Senior Kalen, did you go back to report so soon?" He pretended not to know that he had been surrounded. Kalen laughed. The purple-eyed demonic god came to inquire about the existence of the four of them. How could they not notice? Looking at Su Yu pretending to be crazy, Kalen sneered in her heart. It seemed that he had noticed something and was vigilant. "Well, the princess ordered you to go to the imperial capital to see her quickly," Kalen urged. Su Yu looked embarrassed. "Senior, I have some important things to deal with. I don't have time to go to the imperial capital for the time being." "What important things?" "The Jingyu realm has been stabilized, and the affairs have been handed over to the luminous Moon City Master. If there is nothing important, you can come with me now." The kindness on Kalen's face faded a lot. Su Yu said, "I need to cultivate. I have just broken through to the mortal fairy realm, and my realm is not stable enough. If I don't hurry up, I am afraid that my realm will slip. This is related to my future, and it is not my intention to delay. Please forgive me." Kalen was so angry that she laughed. In the demon world, who dared to delay when Princess Yunxiao wanted to see someone? Only this Su Yu from the Xing River. However, Princess Yunxia had specifically told her not to push him too much. It seemed that the princess had some scruples. Although she was angry, Kalen could not force him. She said with a blank expression, "How long will it take?" "Well, half a year." "Too long. The princess won't wait long." "Then 3 months it is." Kalen pondered for a moment and said, 2 months, no longer." "Good." Kalen stared at Su Yu meaningfully. "I hope you know what to do." "Humph. What a rude guy." Gua stared at her angrily. Su Yu's eyes turned cold. "A little impatience spoils great plans. When the time is right, I will teach her a lesson. Don't run around, I need to cultivate in isolation during this time." Su Yu's eyes flashed slightly. The 9 princes and princesses were about to launch a coup d'état that would shock the demon world. It was impossible to know how many city masters the 9 princes and princesses had gathered together to stage a coup d'état, and it was even more impossible to know if other forces would join in. The only thing that could be expected was that there would be a violent shock in the demon world. Originally, Su Yu planned to do it himself and create turmoil in the demon world to buy time for the creatures of the Xing River. Unexpectedly, the demon world had been brewing a greater turmoil. Once the coup began, whether successful or not, the demon world would experience unprecedented upheavals. With internal instability, the demon world would have no time to invade the Great Eastern Alliance, which could buy time for the Great Eastern Alliance. Entering the secret room, Su Yu began to cultivate in isolation. His cultivation had been consolidated as early as half a month ago, but he had no time to deal with the harvest of the Jingyu realm. The imitation of the emperor-based saint artifact given by the demon cloud city master, the pink skull. The pure celestial energy sphere given by the Bo Ming city master. And the dead soul worm given by the abyss city master. All 3 were excellent things, especially the pure celestial energy sphere and the dead soul worm. Grabbing the celestial energy sphere, Su Yu slowly guided it into his body. They were very gently divided into 2 pieces, each integrated into Su Yu's 2 celestial energy spheres. The celestial energy sphere, which was only a grain of brilliance, quickly grew 5 times and became a finger-sized swirling galaxy. A large amount of the mortal fairy's strength was swallowed by the 2 celestial energy spheres, which then released divine power. Ordinary perspective gods only had 1 celestial energy sphere, but Su Yu had 2, and the speed of releasing divine power was twice as fast as theirs. Clearly, he had not broken through to the realm of gods, but the divine power in Su Yu's body had reached the early stage of perspective gods. Now, without relying on any treasures, Su Yu could fight with an early-stage perspective god alone. Haha, saving me more than a year of cultivation, the Bo Ming city master really treats me well. Su Yu laughed. Then there was the dead soul worm given by the Abyss City Master, an ancient spiritual worm sealed in the ancient mysterious ice. He clearly remembered that the Demon Cloud City Master and the Boming City Master were deeply afraid of this worm. He could not forget that when he first saw this worm, the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron issued a warning. Even in the face of gods, the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron had never warned him like this. This worm was Su Yu's biggest gain. Holding the mysterious ice, Su Yu's eyes were fixed. How great was this worm? With a thought, Su Yu tried to separate a part of his soul into the mysterious ice to detect the worm. But at this moment, the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron trembled violently, alerting Su Yu. On his forehead, the evil god's shadow also jumped out and hurriedly shouted, "Quickly withdraw your soul." The divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron and the evil god warned him at the same time, and Su Yu did not dare to be careless and immediately withdrew his soul. At the moment when it was withdrawn, Su Yu keenly captured that the body of the dead soul worm flashed a cold consciousness. It felt like a little white rabbit being coldly stared at by a giant tiger. Su Yu couldn't help but shudder, and his heart was aghast. Is the dead soul worm so terrible? He had seen many secret soul techniques, but none of them made Su Yu's soul feel such fear. The evil god breathed a sigh of relief and stared at the worm in the ancient mysterious ice. His eyelids twitched slightly, and he subconsciously moved away from it. He looked at Su Yu seriously and said, "You were too careless just now and you almost failed. Fortunately, you reacted quickly. Otherwise, even if your master was here, he could not save you." Chapter 1242. P.S. Here's today's update, and at the same time, I'd like to solicit votes for the Qidien 515 Fan Festival. Everyone has 8 votes, and the votes will be given some coins. Indeed, I was careless, Su Yu said. If the Nine-Dragon Cauldron had not been so eager to wake up, the cold consciousness just now would have caused unimaginable damage. No wonder the Demon Cloud City Master and the Boming City Master were so afraid of this worm. Staring at the dead soul worm, Su Yu asked, "Evil God, what is the dead soul worm? You should have heard of the list of 10,000 races of the starry sky, right?" The evil god said enigmatically. Su Yu nodded. "I have heard of it. It is rumored that there are tens of thousands of creatures in the starry sky. 10,000 is just an imaginary number. There are more than 10,000 creatures in the starry sky, more than 1,000,000. The evil god looked calm and said something Su Yu had never heard of. Millions of creatures are divided into upper, middle, and lower 3 classes according to their natural strength, collectively known as the 9 classes. Su Yu vaguely heard the demon god mention this saying. It seems that the human race belongs to the bottom of the 3 classes. So, the creatures in the Xing River are also divided into 9 classes? This dead soul worm belongs to the higher class? Su Yu somewhat understood the evil god's meaning. But the evil god shook his head. 2 corrections. First, the creatures in the Xing River are all lower class. The human race you belong to is a 9th class race. A few races, such as the Xing deity and the Dakini, belong to the 8th class race, and the demon race belongs to the 7th class race. Second, the dead soul worm is not only of a higher class, it is very high class. It belongs to the 3rd class creatures. Su Yu clicked his tongue. The human race was indeed a 9th class existence at the bottom. Moreover, the demon race's class was above all the creatures in the Xing River, which was why the demon race's individual strength was unusually strong. The human race was really weak. Moreover, the dead soul worm in front of you is extremely special. Although it has been frozen for thousands of years, and most of its life has dissipated, its consciousness still remains. Not to mention you, even the demon emperor would lose half of his life if he was hit by it. Su Yu was surprised. No way, such a terrible thing, the Abyss City Master was willing to give it to me? Su Yu questioned. The evil god said, "That's because he didn't know that it was a dead soul worm, but he didn't know that it was a divine worm that had failed its tribulation." Tribulation? Could it be that even gods have to undergo tribulation? The evil god rolled his eyes and said meaningfully, "Gods have different levels of strength. Naturally, they have to go through the tribulation. This dead soul worm should be a divine worm that failed to become a medium god. A middle-level deity." Suyu heard a piece of extremely fresh news. The evil god said, "Gods are divided into lower gods, middle gods, and upper gods. They are all gods, but there is a difference between the three. It can be said that they are not on the same level at all. All you need to know is that demigods are bestowed by gods, and gods are bestowed by high god." Su Yu's eyes flickered slightly. "Are you saying that the person in charge of the lower gods is a middle god?" He recalled that he had undergone 2 divine tribulations in a row. Could it be that the mysterious manipulator was a mid-level deity? How many gods are there in our galaxy? The demon emperor, the death deity, or the Dakini? Suyu asked. The evil god snorted disdainfully. What kind of medium gods are they? They haven't even touched the threshold of the mid-level deity. As for how many mid-level deities there are in the galaxy, the answer is 0, the evil god said solemnly. The galaxy is too small to nurture a mid-level deity. As strong as the demon emperor and the death deity, they were still lower gods? How powerful were the mid-level deities? This dead soul worm is a mid-level deity worm that failed to go through the tribulations. Its strength when it was alive, the demon emperor and the death deity were not worth mentioning in front of it. Even if it was dead, the remnant of its consciousness could take away half of their lives. The evil god stared at the 10,000 years mysterious ice with fear. You really got a great deal this time. It's best to use it for self-defense. Unfortunately, it can only be used once. You need to be careful. After getting some clarification, Suyu carefully put away the dead soul worm. This was a great killing weapon that no one knew about. Once it was thrown out, the effect would be Suyu's confidence improved a lot. Finally, there was the pink skull, a replica of the Emperor-based Saint artifact. It contained an extremely powerful psychedelic effect. Even deities would be confused if their minds were not strong enough. Its refining process was not complicated, and it was finished easily. Half a month later, Suyu sighed softly. It's done. With a thought, Suyu's soul entered the 9-jade spiritual pearl and looked at the nursery. A golden bud was shining all over, as if it was carved out of gold. Around the bud there were layers of warm flames burning. "Young master, what is this? The chaos multicolored butterfly is very eager for it. If I hadn't held it back, it would have been eaten by it." Shingo looked at it curiously. Suyu was slightly delighted. "Good stuff. Let the chaos multicolored butterfly bear with it for the time being. When it matures and harvests enough seeds, I will plant a batch for it to eat." As he spoke, Suyu looked at another nursery. A towering silver bamboo stood majestically. Around it were dense silver bamboos that were 30 feet long. Suyu stared at the strongest one. After many years of cultivation, Suyu had not touched the first mature heavenly orchid silver bamboo. He wanted to see how far the heavenly orchid silver bamboo could grow after it matured. However, from the looks of it, other than its exaggerated body shape, which was gradually becoming more and more different from the historical records, there was nothing special about it. Suyu looked away and teleported away with his soul. As soon as he left, the chaos multicolored butterfly rushed into the nursery again and devoured the world's spiritual treasures. Now in the nursery, except for the seedlings of the golden flames forbidden wood, the only thing that could attract it was the heavenly orchid silver bamboo. However, what Suyu and Xing did not notice was that the chaos multicolored butterfly was devouring all the heavenly orchid silver bamboos but avoided the largest one. Vaguely, there was a trace of fear. His soul returned to his body. Suyu took out the 5 elements mountain and continued to meditate. Just as he was about to move, a 5-colored pagoda appeared uninvited and hovered in front of Suyu. "What?" Suyu raised his eyebrows and stared at a small black-green water dragon that emerged from the five-colored pagoda. What are you doing here? I didn't summon you, did I? Since the reminder of the demon gods remains in the belly of the Five Elements Mountain, Suyu had been very cautious about the black-green water dragon. Since then, he had never used the Five Elements divine prison again. Boy, let's make a deal. For some reason, the black-green water dragon's body was much more solid than before. Once it appeared, it seemed to have a deep meaning. What kind of deal do we have? Of course. For example, you are in need of help now. I can activate 30% of the power of the Five Elements divine prison to help you get out of here. 50%? Suyu's pupils constricted. Previously, the black-green water dragon could suppress peak mortal fairies with only 10% of its power. Now it could triple its power. Suyu squinted his eyes. It seemed that the black-green water dragon had recovered part of its body through some unknown method, and its control of the Five Elements divine prison had greatly increased. However, Suyu would not tell it that after many days of training, Suyu's comprehension of the hundreds of Demon Clan's characters had exceeded 30% and reached 50%. If they really competed for control, the black-green water dragon might not win against Suyu. Now that the black-green water dragon suddenly appeared, it must have other intentions. Okay, but what do you want me to do? The black-green water dragon said, It's very simple. Banish me to the Xing River, and from then on, I will have nothing to do with you. Okay. Suyu agreed readily. The black-green water dragon's eyes flashed with a strange color. Taking back the Five Elements divine prison, Suyu's eyes were cold. Black-green water dragon, if you are honest and content with your duties, it's okay. If you have ulterior motives, don't blame me for erasing you forever. Time passed, and Suyu had been in the Five Elements divine prison for a month. His refinement of the Five Elements mountain had entered the final stage, and it should not be long before he could completely refine the Five Elements mountain. In this month, the seed of the golden flames forbidden wood grew a lot, and it was already 1 foot long. Its growth rate was much faster than expected. At the same time, in this month, the princes and princesses of all parties seemed to be silent, but in fact they were frequently moving, and the connections between the parties were closer. The city masters in their world were frequently mobilized. Some of the city masters were arranged to perform tasks in distant places, and some were summoned to the princes and princesses. The silent war horn was quietly blowing in the demon world. Half a month later, the 2-month period was up. Kalen did not wait for a moment and immediately appeared in front of Suyu's secret room. Time is up, come with me to see Princess Yunxia. I'm sorry, I have reached a critical moment in my cultivation, and I need to retreat for another 2 months. In the secret room, Suyu said lightly. Kalen's eyebrows twisted, and her face was completely pulled down. Feather Demon, don't be ungrateful. Princess Yunxia wants to see you, it's your good fortune, don't push your luck. So, are you going to capture me? Suyu asked instead of answering. A trace of murderous intent flashed between Kalen's eyebrows. She was not a soft-hearted person. Over the years, she had secretly killed many disobedient gods for Princess Yunxia. However, Suyu was different. Princess Yunxia's special instructions made Kalen have to restrain herself. 1 month. After 1 month, if you don't get up, you will have to bear the consequences, Kalen threatened. From the first kind smile to the later urging, and today's threat, their true attitude gradually revealed itself. In the secret room, Suyu's eyes flashed with cold light. He was waiting for the golden flames forbidden wood. Using the unique cultivation ability of the supreme growing soil, the golden flames forbidden wood had grown strong and was now 3 feet tall. Looking at the situation, it would mature in another 3 months. If there was the golden flames forbidden wood, many things would be easier. In the past month, Suyu continued to comprehend the Five Elements mountain and had successfully refined most of it, mastering many uses of the five elements mountain. In addition, Su Yu had his own divine power, and the power of the five elements mountain had reached a new level. Time is getting tight, I don't know if I can delay until 3 months later, Su Yu whispered softly. 3 months later, it was also the time for the 9 princes and princesses to launch a coup. At the same time, in the Xing River, a huge warship was sailing in the vast Xing River, heading quickly towards the west of the Xing River. On the ship were the Xing deity and Xing Yuanxin, whom Su Yu was familiar with, as well as 2 or 3 gods who had participated in the world of divine remains. After the destruction of the world of divine remains, they returned to the Great Eastern Alliance, which was exciting and won a surprise from the alliance of 100 gods. The sinful land that had been harmed by them was destroyed, and many people got what they wanted. In addition to their joy, their confidence in resisting the invasion of the demon world multiplied, and they held several gods' meetings to actively discuss anti-demon measures. The most important one was to unite all the forces that could be united. For this purpose, 2 troops were dispatched. Chapter 1243. P.S. Here's today's update, and at the same time, I'd like to solicit votes for the Qidian 515 Fan Festival. Everyone has 8 votes, and the votes will be given some coins. I beg for everyone's support and appreciation. A group of troops led by the all-access merchant god was looking for the cavern worlds scattered in the galaxy and striving to gather them into the alliance. A group of troops led by the Xing deity went to the distant Great Western Alliance. As the representative of the Great Eastern Alliance, the Xing deity went to the Great Western Alliance with the purpose of forming an alliance to fight against the restless demon realm. On the giant battleship, the deities had finished their discussion and dispersed. All of them were full of confidence. Xing Yuanxin was the only prospective god on the ship. After 2 years, she had successfully broken through to become a mid-level prospective god. It was clear that she had benefited a lot from the trip to the world of divine remains. Mother, in front of us is the old site of Su Yu's world of divine remains, Xing Yuanxin said leisurely. The Xing deity looked at her daughter's frown and sighed softly. Falling into the demon realm, the possibility of survival is almost zero. Don't expect him to still be alive. Put your mind on cultivation and strive to break through to the late-stage prospective god before the demon realm attack. Xing Yuanxin clenched her fists tightly. I believe he won't die. After all, the demon realm may not necessarily die. However, I am afraid that he will return to the Great Eastern Alliance. If he comes back and sees the current situation of the Great Eastern Alliance, what will he think? In her words, there was deep anger and guilt. Yuanxin, he fell into the demon realm, and there is no possibility of survival. It is reasonable for the Dakini to transfer everything he has to the newly cultivated juniors to manage. Xing Yuanxin smiled bitterly. Reasonable? If it wasn't for Su Yu, how many spies of the demon realm did our Great Eastern Alliance infiltrate? If it wasn't for Su Yu, who was responsible for destroying the world of divine remains? As a result, his life and death are unknown, and the Dakini took the initiative to hand over all the things he left in the alliance to others. Nothing could be more heartless than this. Mother, you might as well ask the people on the street if they think it is reasonable. Complaints about this matter were monstrous in the street. Su Yu's actions for the Great Eastern Alliance were witnessed by all the creatures in the heavens. Su Yu's whereabouts were unknown and he was treated like this. The Xing deity was silent. Not only the people on the street, but also among the gods were indignant. Who wouldn't complain about such treatment of the Alliance's backbone? However, that was the Dakini's decision. As the first god of the Alliance, no one dared to oppose her. If I were Su Yu, I would betray the Great Eastern Alliance immediately if I found out that I was treated like this. Xing Yuanxin said deeply, I really feel bad for him. He was originally an outsider of the Alliance, but he did so much for us, even sacrificing himself for us. But what did we do? The sacred god was left speechless and bitter. If it were her, she would also betray him. Forget it. There's no way he'll come back. Let's just say that we've let him down. I'll do my best to get a cenotaph for him in the God Legion tomb, so that he can join the Legion of Gods. Xing Yuanxin just smiled. Everything had been taken away, so what was the point of leaving only a cenotaph? In silence, the giant ship silently glided toward the Great Western Alliance. In the Devil World, 1 month passed in a flash. The seedling of the Golden Flames Forbidden Wood was already 3 meters tall. It was as thick as an arm, and it was half mature. Although only 3 months had passed in the outside world, the nurturing of the supreme growing soil was equivalent to 200 years of age, so it was reasonable for it to reach a semi-mature state. In another 2 months it should be able to reach 400 years of age, enough to be fully mature. The first divine wood of the Devil World, Su Yu was full of expectations. However, when a wave of divine light came from outside the secret room, Su Yu raised his eyebrows. He was afraid that it would be difficult to delay until 2 months later. Feather Demon, it's time to go. Kaylin stood coldly outside the secret room, her patience completely exhausted. Su Yu opened the door of the secret room and said, "Okay, but I have to go somewhere." Kaylin frowned. "You still want to delay time? If you don't trust me, you can follow me." Su Yu left the secret room, took out the flying demonic artifact, and slowly headed toward the Bitter Sea. Kaylin was furious. "Feather Demon, there is a limit to my patience." She endured it again and again, but Su Yu was still delaying time. He turned his head and looked at her lightly. "When to see Princess Yunxia is up to me, when do I need to see your face?" Kaylin was furious and stared at Su Yu, her eyes flashing with hidden murderous intent. If it weren't for Princess Yunxia, with her identity, who couldn't kill except the members of the royal family. However, she couldn't do anything to Su Yu. "Okay. I want to see what you're waiting for." Half a month later. At the edge of the Bitter Sea, Kaylin said coldly, "You've been wandering leisurely for half a month, and the so-called place you want to go is here? The Bitter Sea has no scenery for you to see." "Oh, can't I see the sea?" Su Yu shrugged and walked aimlessly along the Bitter Sea coast. Until half a month later, Kaylin finally lost her last bit of patience. "All 3 of you come here." Kaylin stared at Su Yu's back and shook her head. With a whoosh, 3 waves of divine light appeared around them. They were Princess Yunxia's 2nd, 3rd and 4th maids. "He has become suspicious and is unwilling to go to see Princess Yunxia. You guard him and don't let him go far. I will ask the princess," Kaylin said bluntly in front of Su Yu. She had already completely torn off all pretense of cordiality. "If he wants to escape, don't be polite, just break his legs." Kaylin's tone suddenly became cold, and no longer concealed her murderous intent. "Yes." The 3 maids also stared at Su Yu coldly, their pretty faces flashing with a few traces of viciousness. After Kaylin left, the 3 maids dispersed. 2 of them guarded the surroundings, and 1 of them stared at Su Yu. The one who stared at Su Yu was the 2nd maid. She crossed her arms and looked at Su Yu coldly. "It's rare to see someone who can be so valued by the princess. Unfortunately, you don't know how to appreciate favors." Su Yu strolled in the courtyard and said calmly, "This kind of attention that is watched by others, I don't need it." "Oh, you're quite clear." The 2nd maid did not hide it and looked up and down at Su Yu. "Do you know how excited the princess was when she saw you? It was the first time I found that the princess had abnormal behavior. You must have something that the princess has been longing for a long time. The Milky Way star sand?" Su Yu's heart was like a mirror. He secretly said, "Senior Tianjizi, you are wrong about me." "Well, don't go any more, sit here obediently and wait for the eldest sister to send back the news," the 2nd maid shouted. Su Yu stopped and sat cross-legged on the edge of the Bitter Sea. He picked up the stones on the beach and threw them into the Bitter Sea. When the stones fell in, they were immediately corroded into nothingness. The 2nd maid caught a glimpse of this scene and sneered. She thought that Suyu had no other choice but to sit and wait for death. Time passed slowly, and 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Finally, the communication jade pendants on the 3 maids emitted a rapid beeping sound at the same time. It's the eldest sister's message. Strange, why is it an emergency message? The 3 maids were surprised. The emergency message was only launched at a very critical time because it would destroy the jade pendant. The cracking sound of the 3 jade pendants breaking sounded at the same time, followed by 3 exposed telepathic messages. The voice was cold and full of endless coldness. The princess has ordered. Cut off the hands of the feather demon, imprison his soul, and return to the imperial capital immediately without delay. Kalen's cold words lingered in the air, shaking people's hearts. The 3 maids were stunned. They thought that the princess would order to forcibly capture Suyu. But now, she asked them to cut off his hands, destroy his body, and imprison his soul? Such a cruel method would only be used to deal with the most heinous criminals. After calming down, the 3 maids stared coldly at Suyu. They would not have the slightest pity or sympathy. It seems that you angered the princess and ended up like this. You can only blame yourself. The second maid's mouth was full of sarcasm, and her eyes were full of murderous intent. The third and fourth maids used their divine power to block the direction of Suyu's escape. The second maid was responsible for the action. With a flick of her fingers, pure golden divine power, like a sickle, cut Suyu's palms. This was what the princess was most concerned about. Cut off the hands and do not damage them. Suyu was secretly shocked. What a decisive woman! She immediately ordered to cut off Suyu's hands. It seemed that Princess Yunxia knew where the Milky Way star sand was most likely to be attached. A ray of cold light flashed through his eyes. Suyu reacted extremely quickly. Even when the 3 maids were still in a daze, he had already started. Gold! Suyu shouted, and the majestic power of the 5 elements burst out from his body, surrounding Suyu. Gold, wood, water, fire, and earth. The power of the 5 attributes combined with each other, and all 5 elements were transformed into the power of gold. The power of gold was integrated into Suyu's body. Suddenly, Suyu's whole body was metallized. The sickle divine power cut Suyu's arms and made a friction sound, but it failed to cut off Suyu's arms for a while. This was the result of Suyu's refinement of the 5 elements mountain. The second maid was slightly stunned. She expected that this blow could easily cut off Suyu's hands. However, everyone below the gods were ant. Even if Suyu had the strength to kill a late-stage prospective god, it was still not worth mentioning. Her eyes flickered, and the sickle transformed by the divine power suddenly soared several times. The power of gold in Suyu's body could not bear it and was broken in an instant. The huge sickle that soared not only cut Suyu's hands but also his body into 2. Without waiting for the second maid to show a sarcastic expression, her face froze. Suyu's body was indeed divided into 2, but at the moment of separation, Suyu formed a seal with both hands. Water! His body that was cut off turned into a person condensed by water. The golden sickle pierced through, like passing through a mass of water, and passed through Suyu's body without causing any harm. You are really difficult to deal with. The second maid was secretly shocked. The golden sickle suddenly divided into 10 parts, containing a biting force, and divided Suyu's water body into 10 parts. Earth! At the critical moment, Suyu spat out a word. Sure enough, his body was chopped into 10 pieces, and each piece turned into soil, falling to the ground in a large amount. Not good. He escaped into the ground. The second maid's face was livid. She was a god, but she couldn't do anything to a mortal fairy junior in 3 moves. The third and fourth maids shot the divine light into the sky. In a short time, Suyu used the earth escape technique to teleport to an endless distance. Chase. If we don't kill this person, none of us will go back alive. The second maid shouted coldly. Princess Yunxia never raised trash, and the 10 maids were never fixed maids. Who knows how many maids have been replaced during this period? Those who have been replaced, without a doubt, have become a pile of dirt. If Suyu didn't die, they would. Swish. The 3 gods teleported and chased after Suyu with all their might. The situation finally developed to the final step, and Suyu had to leave the demon realm. Chapter 1244. Where are you going? Suyu teleported, and the divine light fluctuated, and the 3 maids instantly caught up. It was completely impossible for non-gods to escape from the hands of the gods. Above the earth, the soil squirmed and condensed into the shape of Suyu. As soon as he appeared, Suyu's whole body flashed with 5-colored divine light, and he controlled the power of the 5 elements to teleport. The 3 maids could not stop him, and they gritted their teeth and chased. They did not notice that the place where Suyu had stayed had a drop of golden divine blood, containing the unique breath of the royal family of the demon race. Teleporting again, the 3 maids appeared 1 step ahead of Suyu, condensing the divine power to seal Suyu. However, at this moment, 2 waves of divine light suddenly appeared. Giggle, 3 moves in the hands of the gods and escape twice. There is no one else in the demon world who can do this, right? An eccentric pretty face appeared. Beside her was the purple-eyed demonic god. After the 2 appeared, they naturally broke the seal of divine power. Purple-eyed demonic god. And the 6th princess. The pupils of the 3 maids shrank slightly. The purple-eyed demonic god did not say anything, but the 6th princess actually made a move. In the royal family, second only to the eldest prince, how terrible her strength was always an unknown mystery. We were ordered by Princess Yunxia to capture the Lord of Seawatch City and bring him back to the Demon Emperor. Since you 2 did not know, we can let bygones be bygones. Retreat immediately, and do not hinder us. The 2nd maid shouted. The 6th princess's crystal eyes narrowed into a crescent. Oh? We knew that Princess Yunxia would do something to the demon, so we decided to take action. So what if we disobeyed Princess Yunxia? What are you going to do to me? The purple-eyed demonic god also nodded gently. I advise you, there is no need to seek your own death. And the pupils of the 3 maids shrank. How could they have expected that the 6th princess and the purple-eyed demonic god dared to openly defy Princess Yunxia? You are rebelling. The 2nd maid was shocked and scolded. The 6th princess's eyes gradually became cold. Oh, you are right, we are rebelling. Boom. The 6th princess turned into a streamer and suddenly shot. The 2nd maid's scalp was numb, and she hurriedly shouted, 6th princess, the purple-eyed demonic god has rebelled, kill without mercy. The 3 maids had no mind to care about Suyu, and turned to deal with the decisive 6th princess. In the blink of an eye, both sides clashed. The 3 maids were the powerhouses carefully selected by Princess Yunxia. Among the deities, they were also the top existences. However, as soon as the fight began, the 3 of them were all blown away by the 6th princess. The 4th maid was directly destroyed in body and soul. Only the celestial source origin was held by the 6th princess's bloody hand. There was a hint of cruelty on her pretty face as she swallowed the divine origin in front of everyone. She licked her lips as if she had not had enough. Hee hee, how delicious! Such a scene caused everyone to shudder with fear. Even Suyu squinted his eyes. 4th sister. The 2nd maid screamed in grief and stared at the 6th princess with hatred. But he quickly issued a decisive order. Split up and go back to report to the princess. The 6th princess and the purple-eyed demonic god have rebelled, and request the Holy Magic Hall to take action. Their messaging jade pendants had been destroyed in the previous emergency communication, so they couldn't quickly inform the chief handmaiden. They could only find a city and use the means of communication there to announce this matter to the world. Whoosh, the 2 of them split up and teleported away. The 6th princess had residual golden blood on the corner of her mouth, and her eyes showed a cruel arc. I can't let you escape. Swish, her figure flashed, and she chased after the second maid. The purple-eyed demonic god looked at the second maid meaningfully. The sixth princess, if not handled well, will be a hidden danger. Little friend, you have to be prepared. Su Yu's eyes also narrowed. The sixth princess was like an uncontrollable tiger. She was ruthless and unpredictable, and her heart was extremely cold. Although he could use her unparalleled strength to accompany her, there was also the possibility of being bitten by her at any time. I have a plan. Su Yu said, is it ready? Well, a month after you left, everything has been done according to your instructions. There are no more of us in Sea-Watch City. Su Yu nodded slightly. Well, there is no need to go back to Sea-Watch City. We can go straight to the Demon Emperor. The purple-eyed demonic god nodded and looked in the direction of the third maid's escape. It's almost time to go after her. Wait a moment. The purple light flickered and he quickly chased after her. After a while, the sixth princess and the purple-eyed demonic god appeared almost at the same time. The two maids could not escape and were killed on the spot. Su Yu's eyes shone. The purple-eyed demonic god started to chase after the sixth princess for a long time. As a result, it took almost the same time to come back. Moreover, he could quickly kill the third maid. As expected of the purple-eyed demonic god, who knew everything, he could predict the enemy's next move at any time, and he could also understand the enemy's various weaknesses. It was terrible to think about fighting with such an enemy. He just didn't know how much of the divine path his heir inherited from the purple-eyed demonic god would be a great help to Su Yu. Although they were temporarily killed, their deaths could not be hidden from Princess Yunxia. Su Yu looked at the sixth princess. Your betrayal will be speculated by her sooner or later, so go back and strengthen your preparations. I will go to the Demon Emperor with the purple-eyed demonic god. The sixth princess nodded. The reason why she stayed and was responsible for monitoring Su Yu was to confirm whether he was really trustworthy. Now that he was ordered to be killed by Princess Yunxia, he must not be Princess Yunxia's people, and she could rest assured that she could cooperate. The coup was imminent, and she really needed to go back and prepare. Good. After a month, we will meet in the Demon Emperor. The sixth princess turned and left. Su Yu paused and said, Wait, I have a piece of advice. The sixth princess turned her head and stared at him with a smile. The book god cannot be trusted easily. Anyone who believes in him will be used to death. Su Yu said, I advise you to get rid of him immediately, without the slightest hesitation. Well, it can also be considered as getting rid of a strong enemy for me. The sixth princess did not answer. She dared to use the book god, and naturally, she had the book god's weakness. Without the sixth princess, there was no possibility of removing the deity perishing misfortune in the book god's body. If you think you have the weakness of this person, I can only say, sixth princess, you are not far from death. Su Yu shook his head and said, This person cannot be controlled. With that, Su Yu took out a jade pendant and threw it to the sixth princess. If you trust me, follow the message in the jade pendant. Having said that, Su Yu and the purple-eyed demonic god quickly left. The sixth princess glanced at the jade pendant and read the contents. Her eyes turned slightly, and after a moment of contemplation, she raised her palm and patted her chest, and suddenly coughed up a mouthful of divine blood. Her face quickly turned pale, and there was a painful expression on her face. With a teleportation, she returned to Jingxian realm in this state. As soon as she returned to the mansion, the book god greeted her and looked at the sixth princess's injury. Send an order to the city lord who secretly defected to us to come and protect you. The book god said, Yes. Looking at the back of the book god, the sixth princess's eyes were cold. 7 days later, the demonic clouds were rolling over Sea-Watch City, and the tyrannical atmosphere was rampant. Several gods stood majestically, shocking the spirits of the heavens. The city lord of Sea-Watch City, killing the special envoy of the princess, is a crime that must not be punished. It's the Holy Magic Hall. When did our city lord kill the special envoy of the princess? It must be the people of the Holy Magic Hall, who refused to give up after being driven away last time, and framed us. Doubts were doubts, but in the face of the monsters of the Holy Magic Hall, no one dared to stand up. Swish! While the creatures of Sea-Watch City were still in shock, several gods descended on the city lord's mansion. The leader was the god who came to assist the demon Cloud City Lord that day. Sure enough, he escaped. After a search, the mansion was empty, leaving only insignificant people. Behind him, there was also a demon whose whole body was blood-red, and his eyes were somewhat tyrannical. He said angrily, "You demon, this person is cunning. After killing the special envoy of the princess, he must have escaped, and now he is probably hiding somewhere." Many people in the mansion recognized that the demon in front of them was the demon god of the Holy Magic Hall. It was none other than the demon Cloud City Lord. For some reason, in just half a year, he had changed from a tyrannical demon in the form of the Holy Magic Hall. The land belonged to the king, so where could he escape to? Issue a first-class wanted order of the Holy Magic Hall to arrest Su Yu and the purple-eyed demonic god. Yes, the demon Cloud City Lord grinned. When he is caught and brought to the Holy Magic Hall, I, the general, must eat him personally. A series of wanted orders were quickly transmitted to every city and every jurisdiction in the demon realm. If he appeared, he would be arrested by the local official forces. After all, no one wanted to be accused of hiding a wanted criminal of the Holy Magic Hall. Under the net of the sky, Su Yu, who had nowhere to hide, appeared in the Demon Emperor. In an unobtrusive ordinary house, 3 early-stage prospective gods who had traveled in the Demon Emperor capital for half a year were guarding in front of a certain house solemnly. A group of 7 early-stage prospective gods were entering the house in turn. Inside the house, Su Yu sat cross-legged and met them one by one. Among the 100 early-stage prospective gods who were captured that day, 30 of them were taken away by Qian Jun to hide and collect intelligence for Su Yu. The other 70 people were sent to the Demon Emperor by Su Yu as early as half a year ago, and everything was arranged in advance. This shelter had been prepared in advance. No one would doubt that the Yu demon, who was wanted by the demon realm, was actually under the nose of Princess Yunxia. He divided the 70 people into 10 groups, each group of about 7 people, and came to the Demon Emperor in advance to spy on the news and arrange everything he needed. At this moment, they were listening to the news they had spied for half a year. The first thing they spied on was, of course, the way to leave the demon realm, the ancient altar. Reporting to my lord, the altar is guarded by 3 generals of the Holy Magic Hall, and their strength is very high, comparable to the demon Cloud City Lord. Su Yu frowned slightly. Su Yu had seen the strength of the demon Cloud City Lord with his own eyes. The luminous Moon City Lord and the other 3 joined forces, but they were still not his opponent. But this altar, the princes and princesses of the Ku would find a way to capture it first as a retreat, so Su Yu did not have to worry about it. The second thing to spy on was the intelligence of the Demon Emperor and Princess Yunxia. Chapter 1245. Su Yu pondered for a moment. Is the Demon Emperor being controlled? The abnormal behavior of the devil world over the past few hundred years could indeed explain some problems. For example, Princess Yunxia dared to kill the 9 children of the Devil Emperor. Was she not afraid of the wrath of the Devil Emperor after he came out? Therefore, this rumor might not be groundless. Once again, it was the Holy Magic Hall that made inquiries. The deities of the Holy Magic Hall are all conferred the title of General. According to their strength, they are divided into 3 levels: heavenly, earthly, and demonic. Su Yu's eyes flickered. What level was the general who came to capture me previously? Sir, it's heaven rank. What about the level of the Demon Cloud City Master? Earth grade. The rest were the lowest level devil generals. Other than that, there is also a commander of the Holy Magic Hall, who commands all the generals of the Holy Magic Hall. Commander? Su Yu's eyes shone. Who is it? How's his strength? The commander is the former disciple of the Demon Emperor, the demonic god of 6 paths. His strength. It is said that apart from the Demon Emperor, no one in the demon world is his match. Hearing this, Su Yu's pupils shrank. Even the first prince is no match for him? I don't think so. When the Demon Emperor was in seclusion, the demonic god of 6 paths was in charge of teaching the first prince. In fact, the demonic god of 6 paths was the first prince's master. Su Yu was shocked by the news. Among the 9 princes and princesses, Su Yu had only seen the 6th princess, who ranked 2nd, fight. She was already comparable to the Dakini. How strong was the eldest prince? However, the great commander hidden in the Holy Magic Hall was the one who had truly concealed himself well. How was his strength compared to the death deity? Knowing this, Su Yu's mood became much heavier. It seemed that it would not be so easy for the 9 princes and princesses to succeed in the coup. Alright, so how did you do with the last matter? Su Yu asked. The early-stage perspective god who came to report this time took out a string of black Buddha bead. It looked very ordinary, but each of the Buddha beads was a cavern world. We didn't disappoint you. After exchanging all the resources that you gave us, we finally managed to find an equipment refinement devil god who was willing to secretly refine the world cavern Buddhist beads for us. Su Yu's eyes lit up, and he took it over to inspect it. There were a total of 9 Buddhist beads, each of which was a cavern world. Alright, send it to the purple-eyed demonic god outside the imperial capital. Tell him to choose a Buddha bead cavern world to hide in, and then bring the Buddha bead back to me. As a god, the fluctuations of divine power that could not be concealed were too obvious. If he appeared in the Demon Emperor capital, he would be discovered immediately, but hiding in the cavern world would not. In order to forge this small portable cavern world, Su Yu had emptied nearly 30% of the resources of the Jingyu realm. Otherwise, no demonic god would dare to forge a small cavern world without permission. After making all the necessary preparations, Su Yu said, "Have you found the heir of the purple-eyed demonic god?" Like Su Yu, the purple-eyed demonic god began to make preparations as early as half a year ago, hiding his heir in the Demon Emperor city in advance. "I've found it. It's in the courtyard. Do you want to bring it over?" Su Yu thought for a moment, then shook his head. "I don't have time for now. Tell him not to leave the house at will." Yes. When everyone left, Su Yu exhaled a breath of foul air. Calculating the time, it would soon be the time for the princes and princesses to launch a coup. This turmoil is the only chance to leave the demon realm. I have no way out. He has been wanted by the entire demon realm. If he does not take this opportunity to escape, there will be no chance to leave again. Looking at the sky, Su Yu murmured, "There are still 20 days before the coup. No, only 10 days left." The bitter sea. The sky was blue and the wind was gentle. Several small beasts were chasing and playing on the shore of the bitter sea. Suddenly, the 2 small beasts seemed to have sensed something, and they ran into the jungle and disappeared without a trace. A large number of birds in the jungle were also startled and flew towards the depths of the mainland in a panic. In the depths of the grass, the chirping insects were silent, as if something taboo was coming. Crash! It was dark and calm, like a smooth mirror of the bitter sea. Near the coast, a bubble the size of a human head suddenly emerged. Then, the bitter sea fell into silence again. However, on the shore where the bubble had appeared, bubbles of the same size appeared strangely. The number was increasing, 1, 2, 3, and finally it was densely packed. Millions of miles of coastline, dense bubbles appeared at the same time. It seemed that the bitter sea was evaporated, and there was a boundless behemoth walking under the bitter sea. Roar! Suddenly, a roar that penetrated the demon world rushed out from the depths of the bitter sea, sweeping hundreds of thousands of feet of water from the bitter sea, and rushed to the shore. Along the way, all the plants and creatures within 1,000,000 miles were destroyed, and the stable demon world was also decayed into endless gaps. The water of the Xing River outside was like the water of the 9 heavens flowing backwards. Groups of hungry and ferocious wild beasts poured into the demon world along the water of the Xing River. Among them, there was a god-level wild beast. However, as soon as it stepped into the demon world, the god-level wild beast stopped abruptly, and its ferocious eyes stared at the bitter sea that was bubbling with hesitation. After thinking for a moment, he slowly withdrew his foot that had stepped into the demon world. It seemed to perceive the existence of an extremely dangerous existence and chose to retreat. Unfortunately, its hesitation cost it its life. A chain as dark as ink suddenly shot out from the bitter sea, splashing a large amount of bitter sea water, and decaying the water of the Xing River into bubbles. The wild beasts in the Xing River were also poisoned into nothingness, and none were left. The chain contained a trace of the rules of the Great Way. When the god-level wild beast realized it, it had already been entangled by the chain. Roar! With a scream of horror, the god-level wild beast finally panicked, pulled the chain, turned around, and ran away. But no matter how powerful it was, even if it was at the level of a god, it could not pull the chain at all. Instead, the chain carried the water of the bitter sea into its body, causing it to roar in pain. At the same time, a huge force came from the other end of the chain, dragging the god-level wild beast into the demon world, and it fell into the bitter sea. At the moment when it was about to fall into the bitter sea, suddenly, the water of the bitter sea was separated, and a huge 5 Fingers mountain, hundreds of thousands of feet in size, suddenly appeared from the bottom of the bitter sea. Upon a closer look, it was not a mountain, but a giant hand that covered the sky. With a clench of the giant hand, the 10,000 zhang desolate beast was caught in its palm. Crash! Then, the water level of the entire bitter sea suddenly dropped, because an extremely huge creature stood up from the bitter sea. It was a towering humanoid giant that was over 1,000,000 zhang tall. A god at the level of 1,000 feet was less than 1% in front of the giant, just like half a finger. The giant of the bitter sea appeared. He opened his mouth, indifferently stuffed the god-level wild beast in the palm of his hand into his mouth, and chewed. A shrill scream came from his mouth, followed by the bone-numbing chewing sound, gradually weakening, and finally, there was dead silence. The giant of the bitter sea stepped on the land of the demon world. Suddenly, the earth cracked and the demon world shook. It walked to the place where Su Yu fought with the 3 maids in 3 steps, and sniffed with its huge nose. Amidst the dust, a drop of divine blood covered by the dust floated up. The divine blood contained the breath of the demon royal family. That was the divine blood of the 9th princess. It was the divine blood that Su Yu deliberately left behind. The giant of the bitter sea greedily sucked the divine blood into his mouth, and his indifferent face showed excitement. He raised his head and looked forward. After taking a few steps, he found another drop of divine blood. Excited, he continued to move forward. Every 100,000,000 miles there was a drop of divine blood. He continued to move forward along the divine blood. The direction he was moving in was the demon emperor's capital. Wherever he went there was chaos and death. This message was passed to the demon emperor in just 10 days. The 9 princes and princesses, the Holy Magic Hall, and Princess Yunxiao were all alarmed. Heaven is helping me. After half a year, the giant of the bitter sea has come ashore again. The 6th princess heard the news, and her pretty eyes were full of surprise. The book deity had a strange look on his face. Your Royal Highness is preparing to. Of course, to launch a coup in advance. The 6th princess's eyes flashed coldly. This, I haven't discussed with the other princes and princesses, and changed my mind temporarily. If they can't pick you up, won't they put themselves in danger? The book deity's eyes flashed with anxiety, and he calmly advised. The sixth princess turned her head and stared at the book deity with a smile. It is necessary to change your mind temporarily for the coup to succeed. Otherwise, if someone tipped us off in advance, our coup would be extinguished before it was launched. Wouldn't that be a joke? The book deity looked calm and said lightly, Your Royal Highness suspects that I betrayed you. Well, I suspect. UMO, no, Suyu said that you are a person who can't be trusted at all. Anyone who believes in you is close to death, the sixth princess said lightly. The book deity said, Just his side of the story? So what? Since you are a hidden danger, then I will get rid of you first. The sixth princess shouted and immediately attacked. The book deity's face changed slightly and he shouted, Come out! Swish! 5 strong deities appeared in all directions and surrounded the sixth princess. The 5 deities were all city lords of Jingxian realm, and they were also secretly persuaded by the sixth princess to join her and prepare to launch a coup with her. You betrayed me? The sixth princess's eyes narrowed. The 5 deities did not say a word, and their expressions were extremely calm. The book deity hid behind the 5 deities, and only then did he relax a little. He said lightly, You betrayed the demon world. As the demon gods, of course, they have to put righteousness before family. The sixth princess snorted. Bah! What righteousness before family? Were they bought by your promise of greater benefits? The book deity smiled lightly and said, You are indeed a princess who can be compared with the eldest prince, resourceful and resourceful. Yes, I am under the order of Princess Yunxia. If you have any rebellious actions, you will be killed immediately. These 5 city lords have been influenced by me and decided to abandon the darkness for the light. If they take your head, they can get a reward from Princess Yunxia, which is far better than risking betrayal to the demon world with you. The sixth princess said with hatred, You actually turned to Princess Yunxia? When did this happen? Chapter 1246. The sixth princess stared at them coldly. Do you think that the few of you are my opponents? As the second strongest member of the royal family, the sixth princess was qualified to say this. Oh, if you are in your heyday, the 5 of them together are not your opponents, but you are seriously injured. The book deity clearly remembered that the sixth princess came back with injuries all over her body. He secretly inquired and learned that she was injured when fighting with the 3 maids of Princess Yunxia. This was the reason why the 5 city lords finally decided to rebel. The sixth princess, who was so seriously injured, had no hope at all in the coup. Instead of that, it was better to return to Princess Yunxia and kill the sixth princess by the way. It could also make a great contribution. Kill her while she is seriously injured. The book deity ordered indifferently. She is seriously injured. It is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Boom! The 5 gods were full of killing intent, and they attacked together. When the sixth princess was in her heyday, they did not even have the courage to fight, but now or chi-chi, 2 muffled sounds came abruptly. The 5 gods who besieged were stunned for a moment, and then they were horrified. Even the book deity was taken aback. The sixth princess was not seriously injured. Her left and right hands were holding a group of God Source Origin, and the owners of the God Source Origin, the 2 city lords, were killed on the spot. The sixth princess's mouth evoked a cruel and playful arc, and she swallowed the 2 groups of God Source Origin in one gulp. She sneered. Suyu's strategy is really good. Only the trick of self-injury can lead you to the tail of the old fox. Suyu. You mean, you pretended to be seriously injured, and it was Suyu's idea? The book deity stared, and his face quickly became gloomy. The sixth princess sneered. Yes. He left me a message. He guessed that a villain like you, who is so repetitive, will definitely not follow me to take the risk of a coup, and will definitely choose the most beneficial side. So, you must have taken advantage of my absence to seek refuge with Princess Yunxia. Second, He guessed that you were good at calculating people's hearts, and while I was away, you must have taken the initiative to do something to my city. Now it seems that his speculation is correct. The sixth princess had previously obtained the jade pendant left by Su Yu before he left. At first, she was still skeptical, but she also knew that it was a big deal, and she had to try. She pretended to be seriously injured, and at the same time, summoned the city lord who was attached to her to protect her. Until today, when he suddenly changed his mind and immediately launched a coup. After being forced into a corner, they finally gave themselves away. Su Yu's prediction was not wrong at all. Thinking about it carefully, the sixth princess would be seriously injured by the sneak attack of the book deity and the 5 gods who were attached to her. She might even be killed on the spot. Even if they were lucky enough not to die, Princess Yunxia, who had already received the news, must have prepared a deadly trap in the Devil Emperor. If all the princes and princesses rushed there, it would be suicide. Fortunately, Su Yu had woken up in time and had given him the jade pendant in advance, so that he could get rid of the hidden danger first. The book deity's expression changed drastically, and he fled immediately without thinking. The sixth princess sneered and ignored him. She first dealt with the 3 traitorous city lords in front of her. Your Royal Highness, I was deceived for a while, and I dare not do it again. I am willing to follow your Royal Highness to overthrow Princess Yunxia. Please give me a chance to atone for my crime. As soon as his voice fell, he was destroyed by the sixth princess. No need. Those who betray me will be killed without mercy. The sixth princess's face was full of murderous intent, like a female Azura. A rain of blood flew, and the last 2 city lords also fell in a pool of blood. As for the book deity, the sixth princess did not chase but waited quietly. Soon, the endless demonic clouds came. There were waves of divine light inside, and there were more than 40 strong demon gods. Among them, there were 7 who exuded the breath of the royal family. The leader was the eldest prince, and all the princes and princesses, including the 7th prince, were around him. Behind them were the city lords who were loyal to them and prepared to accompany them in the coup. The eldest prince held a book in his hand, floated down, and threw it to the sixth princess. The feather demon is right. This person has taken refuge with Princess Yunxia, and the one who stays with him must not be the real one. His real body must be hiding in an extremely safe place. The sixth princess weighed the book in her hand and murmured, "He even expected this. It's really interesting." The 7th prince was surprised. "Big brother, sixth sister, why didn't you tell us in advance about the coup? Didn't it start 10 days later? The coup is happening now, and my people are completely unprepared." The 2nd princess also stared at the 2 of them with dissatisfaction. "You 2 acted on your own and did not ask for our opinion at all, Su Yu's message, the 6th princess also told the eldest prince, but only the eldest prince. This was also Su Yu's stare. Even if the other princes and princesses could be trusted, could their people be trusted? The fewer people who knew about the coup in advance, the safer it would be. Among the princes and princesses, the 6th princess could only trust the eldest prince, and the rest were difficult to trust. Therefore, when the giant of the bitter sea landed, the eldest prince informed the other princes and princesses without warning, summoned the city lords who were loyal to them, and quickly went to the territory of the 6th princess to gather. It was not until this moment that they realized that they were actually going to advance the coup. Before this, they simply thought that they were just coming to rescue the 6th princess. The eldest prince said solemnly, "It was my decision not to tell you. Is there a problem?" They dared to criticize the 6th princess, but they had no courage at all for the eldest prince. The 6th princess cast a grateful look, and her elder brother took the initiative to help her bear all the pressure. The speculation of the feather demon is all correct. Our coup has long been known by Princess Yunxia. The eldest prince said loudly, "Only the coup in advance can we have a chance." The giant of the bitter sea is the opportunity and signal that the feather demon has created for us. The giant of the bitter sea is waiting for us to advance the coup. The giant of the bitter sea went straight to the demon emperor's capital, which would certainly attract most of the firepower of the demon realm holy magic hall. Was there a more suitable time to launch a coup than this? No. Although the giant of the bitter sea was waiting ashore, it would certainly cause unimaginable damage to the demon realm, but it was better than them dying in the mouth of the giant of the bitter sea, right? Princess Yunxia imprisoned the demon emperor, perverted, persecuted the descendants of the royal family, destroyed the order of the demon realm, and such a demon concubine should be punished by everyone. Today, as the descendants of the royal family, I carry out the will of the royal family and launch a sacred war against Princess Yunxia. The eldest prince waved his arms and shouted, "Kill the demon concubine, save the emperor!" Waving his arms and shouting shocked the sky. The princes and princesses looked at each other and showed their determination. Kill the demon concubine, save the emperor! The gods loyal to them also roared, "Kill the demon concubine, save the demon emperor!" The shouts of the gods were earth-shattering. This day must be a day that will forever be recorded in the history of the demon realm. The 9 princes and princesses of the demon realm launched a coup. Swish, including the princes and princesses, a total of 40 gods went to the demon emperor's capital. The sky was full of divine light, and the endless demonic clouds were unprecedentedly spectacular. Wherever they passed, the mountains collapsed and the earth roared, and all the creatures knelt down. Under the joint efforts of more than 40 gods, they turned into a sharp long arrow, shooting to the demon emperor's capital, shooting to the Princess Yunxia, who brought chaos to the demon realm. The movement caused by the news of the giant of the bitter sea waiting ashore has not yet subsided, and the news of the princes and princesses leading the gods in a coup hit the demon emperor's capital like a tsunami. When the coup army arrived at the demon emperor's capital, the preparations made by Princess Yunxia were destroyed by the sudden coup army before they could even be fully operated. The 3 deities guarding the demon emperor were putting on a brave front, but in the mighty army of deities, they were extinguished like fireflies. The army was divided into 2 groups, one led by the 6th princess, killing to the ancient altar and guarding their retreat. The other group was led by the eldest prince, killing to the demon emperor's palace. Suddenly, the demon emperor was boiling. The princes and princesses rebelled collectively, which had never happened before. The news did not need to be transmitted, and the people in the capital could also feel the strange fluctuations of the gods. In the mansion, Su Yu, who had been sitting quietly for 10 days, suddenly opened his eyes, and there was a hint of nervousness on his face. The coup has finally begun. Everyone, listen to my orders and carry out the task immediately according to my instructions, Su Yu shouted. From the vicinity of the house, more than 70 early-stage quasi-gods jumped out like raindrops, shooting in all directions, and each carried out the established tasks. Su Yu was alone and stepped out of the house. At the door of the house, a person stood, a woman in a white gauze with a graceful figure. Her slender waist was not enough to hold, and her figure was very slender, giving a somewhat morbid feeling. She wore a white gauze hat on her head, and only the picturesque face could be vaguely seen. "Who are you?" Su Yu's eyes were sharp. He was in the house, but he did not notice that there was her breath outside the house. What made Su Yu's eyes even sharper was that none of the early-stage quasi-gods guarding outside the house came to report to him. There was no such thing as a rebellion, and they were completely loyal to Su Yu. She could stand here without a sound, and she must have done something to those guards. "I am Bai Wanqing, and my teacher is the purple-eyed demonic god." The woman's voice was soft and a little morbid, but her tone was very calm. "It's you?" Su Yu's eyes flashed. The disciple of the purple-eyed demonic god was in the mansion, but he did not know that it was a woman. "Follow me." Su Yu was too lazy to argue with her. The woman nodded lightly. Are we going to the altar? The giant of the bitter sea is waiting for the shore, and the princes and princesses will take the opportunity to launch a coup. If they are smart, they will definitely occupy the exit of the demon world, which is the altar, as a retreat. If you want to leave the demon world, perhaps this is the best opportunity. She was reminding Suyu that now was not the time to lose. Suyu turned his head and looked at her lightly. You seem to think you are very smart? Unlike the purple-eyed demonic god, his air seemed to like to show off her abilities. She had done something to the guards outside the door to show her uniqueness, and now she thought that she was cleverly reminding Suyu. Compared with the low-key modesty of the purple-eyed demonic god, his air was completely different. Chapter 1247. Suyu shook his head secretly. A woman who thought she was clever, seemingly weak, but in fact, she was arrogant. That's because you haven't seen enough, Suyu said lightly, stepped out, and disappeared in the courtyard. Bai Wanqing's pretty face under the white veil showed a few traces of dissatisfaction. Her red lips gently pursed, and she said indifferently, "Is this the source of chaos that Master asked me to follow? He doesn't even listen to the slightest bit of advice. Will this kind of person really bring me unexpected good fortune?" Gently shaking her head, Bai Wanqing sighed helplessly, took a step forward, and disappeared into thin air. In addition to the gods, only a small number of late-stage quasi-gods could teleport. She followed Suyu's breath and came to the ancient altar. She secretly said in her heart, "You said you didn't listen to my advice, but in fact you still came here. Men, they just want to save face." Suyu teleported and sniffed the remaining bloody smell in the air, and his heart was slightly relieved. It seems that the retreat route is guarded first. Hee, I've been waiting for you for a while. Why did you come so late? The sixth princess playfully teleported to Suyu, her hands still stained with a trace of divine blood. Suyu said, "A little delay, the eldest prince and the others should have broken into the palace, right?" The sixth princess looked at Suyu, her eyes full of smiles. After the incident with the book god, she became more and more interested in Suyu, far more than the ability in his hands. Suyu's meticulous planning really impressed the sixth princess, who prided herself on her cleverness. Well, with the strength of the eldest brother and our army, there should be no problem. After all, 70% of the demons in the palace have been sent to deal with the giant of the bitter sea. Speaking of this, the sixth princess couldn't help but admire. This time, thanks to you, you actually thought of attracting the giant of the bitter sea. Even the eldest brother is full of praise for this. Suyu smiled and looked at the divine blood on the ground, thinking about something else. Moreover, thanks to your arrangement in advance, we were able to attack the palace by surprise. Haha, you are the main contributor to this coup. Bai Wanqing, who was on the side, heard this and frowned slightly. Well, what does the sixth princess mean? The giant of the bitter sea is waiting for the coup of the princes and princesses. What does it have to do with Suyu? She looked at Suyu and the sixth princess puzzledly. The sixth princess also noticed her. Who is she? Well, with the divine path of the purple-eyed demonic god, is she his heir? Why is he following you? Some promises, Suyu replied vaguely. How smart was the sixth princess? He rolled his eyes and said with a faint smile, "Is it because the purple-eyed demonic god is nearing the end of his lifespan and is preparing to entrust his successor to you?" Looking at Bai Wanqing, the sixth princess smiled and said, "You are lucky to follow such a person. There will be endless benefits for you in the future." Bai Wanqing was a little confused. Forget about the master, why did even the sixth princess say the same thing? Why did they say that she would receive endless benefits if she followed Suyu? From their interactions, it was clear that he was an obstinate, self-opinionated mediocrity who still cared about his reputation. Suyu didn't have time to care about what she was thinking. He dashed into the hall and started collecting the corpses and blood of the deities. The sixth princess did not care about these things, but for Suyu they were of great use. Looking at Su Yu's action of picking up the divine blood corpse, Bai Wanqing did not say a word. She shook her head and sighed softly. The sixth princess stared at her, and her eyes were full of wisdom. Oh, it seems that you are not satisfied with following her. Bai Wanqing looked indifferent. Your Royal Highness, you think too much. Oh. The sixth princess had read countless people, and she could see through Bai Wanqing's thoughts at a glance. She shook her head and laughed. What a woman who thinks she is smart. The purple-eyed demonic god has entrusted a troublesome person to the feathered demon. Yes. Bai Wanqing was displeased. Not long ago, Su Yu said that she thought she was smart. How long has it been? Her Royal Highness unceremoniously accused her of being smart? Inheriting the eyes that saw through everything in the world, Bai Wanqing often had a sense of superiority over others. But today she was continuously looked down upon and thought she was smart, which really made her unhappy. Your Royal Highness, although you are a Royal Highness, it is not appropriate for you to insult people so inexplicably, isn't it? Bai Wanqing said lightly. Insult. The sixth princess smiled, and there was a bit of sarcasm in her smile. Sure enough, the reason for being smart is because of ignorance. I'm too lazy to explain it to you. At this time, Su Yu came out. The divine blood and corpses of the three deities had all been collected by Su Yu, leaving nothing behind. Oh? What do you want the divine blood for? The sixth princess came over curiously. Su Yu's eyes flickered slightly. It has some uses. This place has been pacified. Leave 2 people to guard it. Let's go to the palace. There is no need to go. The eldest brother and the others have taken action, and there are not many guards in the palace. There is no suspense in the outcome. What's more, as long as we reach the forbidden area of the palace and arrive at the place where the emperor cultivates, we can wake him up. No matter how many trump cards Princess Yunxia has, she can't do anything to them. Su Yu pondered with his arms crossed and shook his head. You are too optimistic. Listen to my advice and support them immediately. I will go with you. The sixth princess rolled her eyes and said decisively, Okay. After all, you are the mastermind behind the coup, and by listening to your advice, we can minimize the loss. It is right to listen to you. Let's go. She pulled Su Yu and teleported with him. Bai Wanqing was shocked, and her indifferent expression was full of shock. She almost thought she had heard it wrong. The sixth princess said that the mastermind behind the coup was Su Yu? How could this be possible? Would the descendants of the royal family listen to an outsider to launch a coup? But the sixth princess was even less likely to lie. There was a roar in her mind, and she remembered the conversation in front of the house. She thought she had seen through everything in the world, saw the giant of the bitter sea waiting for the shore, saw the royal coup, saw the opportunity to leave the demon world, and then proudly reminded Su Yu. It turned out that all of this was led by Su Yu. It was like a martial artist who had achieved a small success in cultivation, showing the essence of a certain cultivation method to a passerby who did not know that the cultivation method was created by this passerby. It was no wonder that Su Yu would say that she was being clever, and when she was not convinced, he said that she did not see enough. Her eyes only saw the development of things, but she could not see the behind-the-scenes manipulator who guided all the development. Recalling her dispute with the sixth princess, she got the evaluation of being clever and ignorant, and Bai Wanqing's pretty face was hot. Judging from the performance just now, she was really ignorant. However, she was not convinced because of this. Without seeing it with her own eyes, it was hard for her to believe it. If you want me, Bai Wanqing, to follow you willingly, then show me the strength to convince me. Otherwise, I would rather perish on my own than be buried in the hands of a mediocre person like you. Bai Wanqing took a step forward and teleported to catch up. When Su Yu and others arrived at the palace was already full of blood. There were corpses of quasi-gods everywhere, mixed with the corpses of the god. The once magnificent palace also fell apart in the battle of the gods, and most of it turned into ruins. Only the forbidden area in the center of the palace was still intact. The Ku army also attacked this place, forcing the living forces in the palace to this place. After a shocking battle, the 20 gods in the palace were killed until only 5 people were left, and all of them were injured. On the other hand, on the side of the Ku, the princes and princesses were safe and sound, and only 3 or 4 city lords had fallen. This could be described as a complete victory, far easier than imagined. This was thanks to the giant of the bitter sea, who attracted most of the forces away. Staring at the forbidden area, the defeated soldiers surrounding a palace, and the middle-aged woman in fine clothes who was tightly protected by the crowd, the princes and princesses all had extremely murderous eyes. The eldest prince held a demonic sword in his hand, pointed it at the middle-aged woman in fine clothes, and said indifferently, "Princess Yunxia, you have no way to retreat, surrender. Don't make any more unnecessary resistance." Su Yu looked at the woman in fine clothes from a distance, and his pupils shrank slightly. Was that Princess Yunxia? It was a middle-aged woman wearing a fiery red phoenix robe with a golden hairpin on her head. A pair of phoenix eyes, calm as a mountain, exudes majesty no less than that of the demon emperor. At this moment, sitting quietly in front of the palace, in the face of the powerful Ku army, there was no change in her expression. Such a bearing, even as the enemy side of the Ku, could not help but be afraid. In particular, the city lords did not dare to look at those calm and majestic eyes. Traitors, disobedient and unfilial, guilty. Princess Yunxia said softly, extremely majestic. Her phoenix eyes swept across, and the city lords were all guilty. The eldest prince said lightly, "Devil concubine, your fate has come to an end. If you are stubborn, we can only use brute force to destroy the prohibition. Although it will alarm Father who is in isolation, I believe Father will not blame us for eradicating you, the devil concubine, for the royal family." Princess Yunxia looked calm and had no intention of surrendering. "Attack. If Father is alarmed, I will bear the blame," the eldest prince said. Hearing this, the princes and princesses suddenly made their moves and attacked the restrictive barrier together. Capture and kill Princess Yunxia. Eradicate the scourge of the demon race. It all depended on this one move. However, in the process, the 7th prince suddenly flashed, and while following the eldest prince, he threw out a ferocious blood-red centipede from his sleeve. The eldest prince was not aware of it, and the blood-red centipede was attached to his body. The blood-red centipede flashed and immediately penetrated the body of the eldest prince. The eldest prince snorted, and his body quickly decayed. The blood of the giant of the bitter sea. In the body of the blood-red centipede, there was a trace of the blood of the giant of the bitter sea. The blood of the giant of the bitter sea had an extremely powerful restraining effect on the royal family of the demon race. It was because of this that the 9th princess was beaten back to her original body. Seal of the 7 extremes. The eldest prince quickly pointed to his eyebrows, and a powerful divine power gushed out of his body, flushing out most of the blood of the giant of the bitter sea that was integrated into his body. But there was still a small amount left in his body, and the eldest prince had to use most of his divine power to suppress the blood of the giant of the bitter sea. I didn't expect that the eldest brother had secretly succeeded in practicing the seal of the 7 extremes that no one in my royal family has ever successfully practiced. A surprised voice came from behind. He suddenly turned back, stared at the 7th prince who suddenly attacked him, and said in a deep voice, "Did you turn to Princess Yunxia?" The 7th prince's face was pale, and his temperament was like a scholar. He floated back and said lightly, "Yes, because you are all dead, I can become the only heir of the royal family." Behind the 7th prince, a large number of lurking late-stage quasi-gods appeared one after another. Each of them held a blood-red centipede, and all of them contained the blood of the giant of the bitter sea. They were surrounded. In the prohibition, Princess Yunxia got up calmly and looked at them with pity. I have been waiting for you for a long time. If you are well behaved, I need to clean you up one by one. Unfortunately, you are overestimating yourself and trying to launch a coup. The blood of the giant of the bitter sea has been waiting for you for a long time." The princes and princesses present all had a chill on their backs. The blood of the giant of the bitter sea was the nemesis of the royal family of the demon race. Even if it was slightly touched, it would be beaten back to its original form. They were originally surrounding Princess Yunxia, but they were surrounded by the people led by the betrayed seventh prince. In addition, the eldest prince was suffering from the blood of the giant of the bitter sea, and they had lost their leader. They, who were in a good situation just now, fell into a passive position in the blink of an eye. However, Su Yu, who was watching the show in the distance, showed an unsurprised look. Chapter 1248. Get into formation, the first prince whispered. The princes and princesses took out their respective golden flames forbidden wood weapons and formed a circle. The city masters loyal to them also took out their defensive magic weapons to protect the princes and princesses inside. "Feudal struggle," the seventh prince said lightly, and was about to order the release of the blood-colored centipede. Suddenly, one of the prospective gods holding the blood-colored centipede suddenly turned his head and shot the blood-colored centipede at the seventh prince. The seventh prince was shocked, and his reaction was extremely quick to teleport away. But at the moment of evasion, a wave of divine light suddenly appeared, and it was the three strong city masters who had always been hidden and had never shown up. They had been secretly following the coup army and did not appear to fight, but at such a critical moment, the three gods descended with boundless divine light and decisively interrupted the seventh prince's teleportation. With a scream, the seventh prince could not avoid it and shouted, "How dare you, ah!" He poured out his divine power and killed the rebellious early-stage prospective god on the spot, but the blood-colored centipede still hit him and quickly submerged into his body. The blood of the giant of the bitter sea was completely integrated into the seventh prince's body. But hearing a heart-wrenching pain, the seventh prince's 7 orifices spurted blood, and his body was constantly rotting. In the blink of an eye, from a handsome prince, he turned into a man whose flesh and blood were rotting and dying. The first prince stared at him coldly. "I really don't know if you are really stupid or pretending to be stupid. Will Princess Yunxia give up the throne to you? It is not like my seventh brother to believe this kind of lie." Among the many princes, only the seventh prince was second only to the first prince. In terms of intelligence and wisdom, he did not lose much to him. Such an obvious trick to drive a wedge. He actually believed it. The seventh prince's skin and flesh rolled and gradually rotted, but he rushed to Princess Yunxia in the restriction, his eyes full of strange affection, and eagerly said, "Yunxia, save me!" Hearing the seventh prince's words, everyone present changed their expressions. In theory, Princess Yunxia was their father's concubine, and in theory, she was their elder. Calling her name directly, everyone seemed to understand something. The sixth princess looked at Su Yu deeply. "I'm curious, how did you know that the seventh prince has such an indecent love for the princess?" Su Yu said, "That day you and the seventh prince appeared together in the world of divine remains. The seventh prince took away the holy deity's inherited emperor-based saint artifact, the Xianlan divine hairpin. At that time, he said to himself that he wanted to give it to Princess Yunxia. A man giving a woman a hairpin, isn't that enough to express his feelings?" The sixth princess suddenly understood. No wonder you could predict the seventh prince's betrayal in advance, so that the first royal brother had the opportunity to place his own people in the seventh prince's confidence in advance. Unfortunately, the first prince was also poisoned by the blood of the giant of the bitter sea. At this moment, Bai Wanqing, who had just rushed over, heard this scene and was shocked. The seventh prince had rebelled. Even her eyes hadn't noticed it, so how could Su Yu have predicted it in advance? With bewilderment, Bai Wanqing remained silent and continued to observe coldly. In the end, the seventh prince failed to get Princess Yunxia's help. On the one hand, the blood of the giant of the bitter sea was incurable, and on the other hand, opening the prohibition was equivalent to digging his own grave. Until the seventh prince was decayed into a pool of muddy water, Princess Yunxia did not look at him. Although this man would rather betray his brothers and sisters for her, although he knew that Princess Yunxia would eventually get rid of him, he was still willing, but she did not have the slightest mercy. The seventh prince fell, and his group of early-stage prospective deities, who held the blood of the giant of the bitter sea, lost their leader and quickly fell into chaos. The three city masters, like thunder, cut them all out and seized the blood-colored centipede in their hand. Su Yu's eyes flickered slightly, and he remembered the three city masters. Demon concubine, you will die a horrible death. The second princess witnessed the fall of the seventh prince, and her eyes were filled with hatred. Princess Yunxia was indifferent. He was willing, and I never forced him. What's more, he died in your hands. Shouldn't you be the one to die a horrible death? I will kill you. The second princess screamed and angrily attacked the prohibition. The rest of the princes and princesses also felt the fall of the seventh prince, and their hearts were filled with grief and indignation. Under the joint siege of many gods, the prohibition was crumbling. The situation was once again in their favor. Su Yu frowned. Whether they could succeed or not depended on this. Hey, you look uneasy. Bai Wanqing pretended to be surprised, and her purple pupils had already detected some of Princess Yunxia's secrets. Princess Yunxia had secretly ambushed a group of the Holy Magic Hall's top strong men. They would soon come over and catch all these princes and princesses in one fell swoop. This secret, only her purple pupils peeped into it, and the corners of her mouth evoked a bit of smugness. A sense of superiority over ordinary people was undoubtedly revealed. Su Yu ignored her, stared at the sixth princess, and said, "If they can't break the prohibition in a cup of tea, immediately persuade them to give up. According to the time, the people of the Holy Magic Hall should be coming soon." The sixth princess said, "Well, my brother and the others will strictly follow your plan." What? Bai Wanqing, who was complacent, was shocked. He had predicted that the Holy Magic Hall would join in before the coup began? He had developed an extremely rigorous plan for this? She did not believe that a person could see so far. On the battlefield, although there were many gods besieging, the prohibition was extremely tough and could not be broken in a short time. The eldest prince and the others were secretly anxious. According to Su Yu's speculation, the Holy Magic Hall would definitely attack. The more time was delayed, the more disadvantageous it was for them. Only by breaking the prohibition and rescuing the emperor could the Holy Magic Hall's strong men stop in the name of the emperor. Therefore, time was everything. If the prohibition was broken before the Holy Magic Hall arrived, they would win. Otherwise, they would be defeated. However, a cup of tea's time passed quickly, and although the prohibition was crumbling, there was still no sign of breaking. Retreat. The eldest prince made a prompt decision. Otherwise, if they were surrounded by the Holy Magic Hall, they would not be able to escape. The princes and princesses were extremely unwilling, but the coup eventually ended in failure. To avoid total annihilation, they could only choose to leave. Crack, however, just as they were preparing to retreat, the prohibition that had not been broken for a long time made a cracking sound, and a crack appeared. This was a sign that the prohibition was about to be broken. Swish, they, who were preparing to retreat, turned their heads to look, and their faces were ecstatic. However, at this moment, Su Yu in the distance stared deeply and shouted, "That is a trap, don't be fooled, go immediately! The Holy Magic Hall has arrived." Su Yu's warning caused several princes and princesses to recover from the surprise. Was this a trap of Princess Yunxia? They knew that Su Yu was right, but staring at the crack that was getting bigger and bigger, they could not contain their inner emotions. If they could hold on for a moment, break the prohibition, wake up the emperor from his retreat, and be surrounded by the Holy Magic Hall, So what? The princes and princesses struggled for a while, and finally looked at the eldest prince. Eldest brother, what should we do? There was also a struggle in the eldest prince's eyes. If they gave up now, they would miss the only opportunity to kill Princess Yunxia. From then on, they would be exiled in the Xing River, never to return to the demon world. But the last trace of reason controlled him. Go. Don't be obsessed with fighting. The eldest prince gritted his teeth and finally led his 3 city gods to meet with Su Yu. However, the princes and princesses who followed him were only the second princess and the 3 city gods loyal to the second princess. Chapter 1249. Attack with all your might. Victory is in sight. The third prince shouted, and the remaining princes and princesses, as well as a group of city masters, chose to stake everything on one throw. Crack, crack, as the cracks widened, their breathing became rapid. If they could save their father, they would win. The faces of the first prince and the second princess changed. Come back. However, they had chosen to stake everything on one throw. Seeing that the seal was about to be broken, how could they listen to their advice? No need to persuade them anymore, they have made their choice. The 6th princess shook her head. The first prince and the second princess sighed deeply and rushed to the altar with the 6th princess and Su Yu. As soon as they left, outside the demon emperor's capital, a demonic cloud filled with a violent atmosphere rose, forming an encirclement and slowly closing in on the capital. In the demonic cloud, nearly 100 terrible divine light waves shone in all directions. At the head of the 100 demonic gods stood a huge demonic god with a height of 2,000 feet, more than twice as tall as the ordinary demonic gods. His whole body was not blood red, but a deep dark red. A series of strange runes circled on his body's surface, adding to the sense of ferocity. He was the commander of the Holy Magic Hall, the demonic god of 6 paths, the only disciple of the current demon emperor. He held a blood-stained sword of the golden flames forbidden wood in his hand. The giant of the bitter sea was repelled. Feeling the arrival of the Holy Magic Hall, the third prince's face changed dramatically. The Holy Magic Hall really came. However, it was too late to rush to the altar now. Break through the seal and invite my father out. The third prince roared. The entire army of the Holy Magic Hall was dispatched, stimulating their nerves and prompting them to besiege the seal in a frenzy. Crack, crack. Finally, at the most critical moment, the seal was broken. The Ku army swarmed in. Princess Yunxia and a group of gods were instantly drowned by the tide. Except for Princess Yunxia, all were executed on the spot. The gods of the Holy Magic Hall also arrived at this moment, besieging the Ku army. More than 30 gods, including the third prince, immediately held Princess Yunxia hostage and shouted, "Stop! Otherwise, kill Princess Yunxia." The commander had a pair of dark red blood eyes, staring at them indifferently and coldly ordered, "It's dinner time." Roar! The cruel and greedy roars of a group of tyrannical fiend gods came from the demonic clouds, as if they were a group of hungry beasts that hadn't eaten for a long time. At the same time, the subdued Princess Yunxia suddenly flashed and turned into a book. That was not Princess Yunxia herself. What? Everyone was shocked. They were not besieging Princess Yunxia. So where was she? However, now was not the time to care about her. The third prince and the other princes and princesses bowed toward the secret chamber. "Father, please come out of seclusion." His voice was loud and clear, and it shook the heavens. The secret chamber, which had been sealed for hundreds of years, creaked open. The princes and princesses were delighted. The final victor was still them. Imperial Father had come out of seclusion. As long as his father woke up, the outcome would be set. The third prince was secretly excited. Now that the eldest prince had left the devil world, he was the strongest among the remaining princes and princesses. As long as the eldest prince did not return, he would undoubtedly be the next devil emperor. The giant door opened, but the secret room was deathly still. There were no signs of life. The princes and princesses could not help but look up. The scene in the secret room caused their pupils to shrink. There was nothing in the secret room except for the thick dust that had accumulated for hundreds of years. The Devil Emperor was not in the secret room. Father has been in seclusion for hundreds of years. Where is he? Where is he? The princes and princesses could not believe the scene in front of them. They had always believed that their father was deceived because he was in seclusion. He did not know the situation of the princes and princesses. However, the spacious secret chamber was like a hammer that smashed into their bodies. They had staked all their hopes on the demon emperor, who was in closed-door cultivation. In the end, the secret room was empty. Countless roars that shook the heavens resounded from the demonic clouds. One by one, the hungry blood-red demon gods pounced down like locusts. In an instant, God's blood splattered and the sky cried blood. One by one, the gods fell. Including the princes and princesses, none of the 30 gods escaped. They all became food for the blood-red demon gods and were eaten alive. Altar. When they arrived, it was the time when the Holy Magic Hall appeared in the Devil Emperor capital. Staring at the entire Holy Magic Hall, everyone's heart trembled. They can't be saved, Suyu said lightly. The second princess looked expectant. Not necessarily if they can open the secret room. The Devil Emperor is not in seclusion, opening the secret room is useless. Suyu shook his head. The secret room should be empty. What? Not only the second princess, but the eldest prince and the 6th princess were also shocked. Father is in seclusion in the secret room. This is well known in the demonic dimension. It is because of this that concubine Yunxia, the demon concubine, caused chaos in the demonic dimension. They could not believe this fact, because if father was not in seclusion, then where was he? Why did he watch the descendants of the royal family fall into the miserable situation of being sacrificed to the giant of the bitter sea and do nothing? No, when I crossed the divine tribulation, I understood that the Devil Emperor has never been in seclusion. He is right in front of you, Suyu said lightly. Hearing this, the 3 princes and princesses were shocked on the spot. Where is father? When have we met? The 3 of them stared at Suyu and fell into boundless shock. Bai Wanqing's purple crystal eyes flickered constantly. Following Suyu's words, she kept peeping into the secrets between heaven and earth. As a result, Bai Wanqing's face turned pale. The Devil Emperor was indeed not in the secret room. However, even if her forehead was full of sweat, she could not detect the true whereabouts of the Devil Emperor. Didn't I bring the Devil Emperor? Suyu said the answer and looked in the direction of the bitter sea. Vaguely, one could see a colossal creature that towered between the heavens and the earth. The giant of the bitter sea. The second princess took a breath. You mean, the giant of the bitter sea is our father? Suyu nodded. There is no mistake. The giant of the bitter sea is the father you have been searching for. Hiss, Bai Wanqing suddenly covered her purple eyes, and bursts of pain came from her eyes. Her face was shocked and painful. She was shocked that she followed Suyu's words and did speculate the truth, an unbelievable truth. The real body of the giant of the bitter sea was actually the Devil Emperor who had been missing for hundreds of years. She was even more shocked that she could not detect a trace of him, and Suyu speculated it based on his wisdom. At this moment, Bai Wanqing suddenly felt cold all over, and inexplicable fear kept surging from her heart. Standing next to Suyu, she finally felt his horror. He was in existence above her divine path with his wisdom. Clap, clap. At that instant, a crisp clap could be heard coming from the hall, accompanied by a faint scent of blood. Frightening wisdom, you even discovered this. The heir of Tianjizi, you really surprised me. Da-da. The sound of light footsteps gradually approached, and a woman in gorgeous clothes with a majestic bearing appeared. Behind her was the book deity, the blood-red demonic god, and the demon cloud city master. Their feet were stained with the blood of the demonic god. The altar was recaptured by them, and the city master who guarded the altar was eliminated by them. Chapter 1250. Suyu looked at Princess Yunxia lightly. I didn't expect that the woman Tianjizi missed was such a person. Shaking his head, Suyu, despite his reluctance, still brought Tianjizi's words. Tianjizi asked me to tell you that he has never forgotten you, Yunxia fairy. Hearing this, Princess Yunxia's face flashed a little, but it was quickly replaced by indifference. Suyu silently felt sorry for Tianjizi. He wanted to bring it, and Suyu brought it. He thought it would be love between a man and a woman, but what he got was indifference. No matter what, the words had been delivered. Suyu's palm loosened, and something in the Milky Way star sand seemed to vanish. That was the promise fulfilled, the last obstacle disappeared, and the Milky Way star sand completely belonged to Suyu. Father is the giant of the bitter sea? How could this be? At this time, the eldest prince, the second princess, and the sixth princess were all shocked and speechless. At the beginning of the demon world, this giant of the bitter sea existed. Its life was ancient, and it could be said to be as old as heaven and earth. The current demon emperor was a creature born only a few hundred years ago. No matter how you looked at it, it was impossible to be the giant of the bitter sea from millions of years ago. Princess Yunxia looked at them with pity. The demon emperor's ambition is great and can't be understood by you, a group of mayflies. You always think that I usurped the throne, brought chaos to the demon world, and did harm to you. In fact, I was following the wishes of your father. Oh, according to the wishes of the giant of the bitter sea, I sacrificed you one by one for your father to enjoy. Impossible! The second princess screamed, unable to believe this absurd reason. Princess Yunxia stared at her faintly. That's why I said that a mayfly like you wouldn't understand his lofty aspirations. After that, Princess Yunxia slowly closed her eyes and stood quietly on the altar. Several gods around her stepped forward and completely blocked the entrance to the altar hall. The book deity stood in the altar hall, looking down at Suyu, and said indifferently, "It's time to end, Suyu." The grievances between them had extended from the Great Eastern Alliance to the demon world, and they had fought against each other countless times. This time, it finally came to an end. Suyu stared at the book deity. "You're really haunting me." The eyes of the sixth princess showed a hint of killing intent. "Humph, you have indeed sought refuge with the devil concubine. A wise man submits to circumstances. Don't you understand this principle, Your Highness?" The book deity said lightly. At this moment there were waves of divine light. The Ku army, which had fallen into a desperate situation, started fighting with the Holy Magic Hall. Once the Holy Magic Hall intervened, they would no longer have any hope. The first prince stared at Suyu, his eyes filled with suspicion. Suyu knew that the demon emperor was the giant of the bitter sea. Why didn't he tell him earlier? He even lured it here. Take back the altar. This is the only way for us to leave the demon world. The first prince looked around at them. They had 9 gods, the first prince, the second princess, the sixth princess, and 6 city masters who were still loyal to them. The other side had Princess Yunxia, the book deity, the general of the Holy Magic Hall, and the demon cloud city master. If they fought hard, there was still hope for them to snatch back the altar. However, Suyu shook his head and said, "Don't waste your energy. Since they took back the altar, they won't let us take it from them again. They must have left something behind in the altar. Fighting with them here is exactly what they want." Princess Yunxia's majestic face occasionally revealed a hint of murderous intent. The fleeting expression could not be hidden from the first prince and the others. Suyu was right. The altar had been tampered with. Retreat immediately. They are delaying us, waiting for the Holy Magic Hall to intervene. Suyu touched his wrist, a string of Buddha beads. One of them flashed with purple light, and the purple-eyed demonic god suddenly appeared. Staring at the situation in front of him, the purple-eyed demonic god murmured, "Has it finally come to this?" After saying that, He grabbed Su Yu and Bai Wanqing with each hand and teleported. The direction was the Bitter Sea. The first prince, the second princess, and the sixth princess hesitated for a moment. They stared unwillingly at the princes and princesses whose resistance was getting weaker and weaker. With a low growl, they teleported away with the purple-eyed demonic god. Princess Yunxia's eyes were murderous, and her face was cold. "Princess, what should we do?" The general of the Holy Magic Hall stared at Su Yu's back and smiled cruelly. Last time he was stopped by Kalin, and Su Yu escaped. Now he... Wait. Princess Yunxia was calm and composed. The altar is the only exit of the demon world. If we guard here, they are like turtles in a jar. When the Holy Magic Hall intervenes, we will kill them. The book deity smiled approvingly. Princess is right. They can't escape even if they have wings. The sixth princess and the others quickly caught up with Su Yu. "You demon, speak clearly. Father is the giant of the Bitter Sea. What is going on?" The sixth princess's pretty eyes were full of cold light, and her murderous intent lingered. The first prince and the second princess also looked unfriendly. How could Su Yu hide such an important thing? Literally. Su Yu had the protection of the purple-eyed demonic god, so he was not afraid of the princes and princesses attacking him. "The demon emperor is the giant of the Bitter Sea. I mean, how did you know, and why didn't you tell us?" Su Yu said lightly. "When I crossed the divine tribulation, 3 people appeared at the same time, the previous demon emperor, the current demon emperor, and the god of death. But according to my investigation, only the previous demon emperor will appear when the demon realm crosses the divine tribulation. Can't you think of something when 3 of them appear at the same time?" Su Yu's eyes narrowed. The sixth princess's pretty eyes turned. "You mean they are the same person? To be precise, they are 3 people of the same person. This is the only way to explain it. The previous demon emperor should have appeared, but instead, 3 people appeared. If I'm not mistaken, the 3 of them should be 3 people of the same person." The second princess scolded. "Ridiculous! The demon emperors of the demon race are all unique. How can there be 2 demon emperors, and the same demon emperor? Not to mention, there is a non-demon god of death." Su Yu shrugged, not bothering to explain. The second princess was about to scold him. The first prince stared for a long time and whispered, "He may be right. The 2 demon emperors may indeed be the same person. In the secret books of the royal family, there is a secret curse of reincarnation of 10,000 demons." The second princess and the sixth princess were stunned. "Why don't we know about it?" "That is a forbidden book that only the heir of the demon emperor can read," the first prince said slowly. "The heir, he is. This forbidden book records an extreme forbidden technique passed down from the first demon emperor. After cultivation, thousands of clones with their own wills are separated, and they enter the cycle of reincarnation and become new creatures. The divided creatures cultivate separately, and when they reach a certain level of strength, they will be swallowed by the original to achieve explosive growth in cultivation. If the demon's guess is correct, the current demon emperor is indeed likely to be the reincarnation of the previous demon emperor. They may be the same person." The second princess and the sixth princess were shocked speechless. The first demon emperor left behind such a terrible forbidden technique? Countless clones, and the clones reincarnated, grew, and then swallowed each other. Wait. Even if our father is the reincarnation clone of the previous demon emperor, he can't be the giant of the Bitter Sea. The previous demon emperor was born 10,000 years ago, and there is still a long time before the giant of the Bitter Sea appeared, the sixth princess first thought. The first prince shook his head slightly. "This is also what I can't figure out." He looked at Su Yu, waiting for his answer. Su Yu smiled faintly. "You can accept that the current demon emperor is the reincarnation clone of the previous demon emperor, but why don't you think again? Whose reincarnation clone was the previous demon emperor? whose reincarnation clone was the one before that. So on and so forth, it can be traced back to the first demon emperor. And wasn't the curse of reincarnation created by the first demon emperor? What? The three of them were once again shocked by Su Yu's bold speculation. Even the first prince was in disbelief. Are you saying that the demon emperors of the demonic dimension since ancient times were actually the reincarnation of the first demon emperor? Su Yu nodded. Yes, it was the first demon emperor. When I first came to the demonic dimension, I was curious. The demonic dimension was created by the first demon emperor. Why was there a supreme being who could threaten all the creatures in the demonic dimension? In any cavern world, there is only one supreme being, and that is the first deity who created the cavern world. Later, when I was undergoing the ordeal, the two demon emperors appeared at the same time, which enlightened me. The giant of the bitter sea is the first demon emperor. The curse of reincarnation is the main body devouring generations of clones. If all the previous demon emperors were clones, then where is the main body? He must have lived for thousands of years. In the demonic dimension, there is only one creature who has lived for millions of years, the giant of the bitter sea. Upon hearing this, the first prince, the second princess, and the sixth princess were all shocked and speechless for a long time. They found it hard to believe Su Yu's speculation, but they had to admit that it was the most reasonable and most likely explanation. The birth of the giant of the bitter sea was explained because it was the first demon emperor himself. The giant of the bitter sea's desire to devour the royal family could also be explained because all the descendants of the royal family were his reincarnation clones. They were all thunderstruck as they followed Su Yu's teleportation. They didn't even think about Su Yu's purpose in going to the bitter sea. That was a land of death, and even deities couldn't cross it. Bai Wanqing, who thought highly of herself, was also thunderstruck. Su Yu's speculation ran through the 10 million years of history of the demonic dimension, and the vast span of time and space, he speculated, was beyond the reach of the divine path she inherited. The way she stared at Su Yu had completely changed. This was indeed a frightening existence. It was as if there was nothing in the world that he couldn't see through and see through. The purple-eyed demonic god looked at the dumbfounded expressions of the three princes and princesses and didn't find it funny at all. Because when Su Yu told him the same speculation, he had the same expression. Until today, when Princess Yunxia personally admitted that the current demon emperor was the giant of the bitter sea, it confirmed Su Yu's shocking speculation. A shocking conspiracy that had been hidden between the heavens and the earth for 10 million years had surfaced. A shadow behind the scenes that had been entrenched in the demonic dimension for 10 million years had appeared. The first demon emperor. The giant of the bitter sea. For 10 million years, he had been practicing the curse of reincarnation of 10,000 demons, constantly expanding himself. Looking at Bai Wanqing, who was thunderstruck, the purple-eyed demonic god was completely relieved. Only Su Yu, an unparalleled sage who could see through time and space, could control his disciple. After a long, long time, the three princes and princesses finally recovered from the shocking conspiracy that had lasted for 10 million years. The faces of the three became very ugly.